think I've got it handled. Let's see. Fingers crossed that this actually works. I think it is. I think you're all right. Yeah? Is that okay? Did I fix it? Audio's all right? Fingers crossed. Let me know. Join me. Let me know. Keep me up to date. I'm going to soldier on as if. Yep. So far, so good. Yes. Excellent. Thanks. Sorry, they threw me for a loop, and I was still throwing a cat out of the room when he came in, and it was just madness, and I don't know what to do. And I worked so hard for you guys to make everything work, and then it all falls apart, and it's your fault. Damn it. I literally had this weird thing where right before I started the stream rolling, my stream deck went out, and a couple other things went south, and I was like, what plug went crazy? I think I know one of my main problems. There's a spinning wheel on Twitch. Okay, well, that's Twitch's problem. There's an issue with Twitch today. Sorry. There's an issue. And by the way, hi, Facebook. Even though you guys are, this is my personal page on Facebook. I'm not going to the professional page anymore. Because if you're a jerk in there, at least I know you're a jerk who's a friend. What? Yeah. Yeah, Twitch, you said everything when Cattywampus, of course, your cats are trying to investigate. That's true. It's true. That's what drew them in. So hi, join me. How are you? Let's gather for a moment, shall we? Let's collect ourselves. Home, my mama. Thanks, John Mahoney. And there's the tip jar's back. And you can see it a little bit in this one. We're just going to gather ourselves. I want to make sure the audio is up to snuff. Yeah, Twitch, I got a warning. This is, by the way, all the Twitch folks, I don't know if you can even hear this, but it says, streaming issues detected, Twitch platform. We are currently investigating an issue affecting new streams with Twitch. We expect this issue to be resolved shortly. Meanwhile, you can check back at Twitch Down Detector. So that's their issue, just so you know. So Twitch, I apologize, but that's on your guys. Periscope, I don't see any indicators on there yet. So that might be a Periscope issue. I wouldn't doubt that they've been hit. Not at all. You guys, you're not late. I was just getting my shizzle together, as it were. This is insanity. I was chipping away at this nonsense. Let's see if the chatting one works. So, hi chat room. Oh, you're that's not in the right space. I'm afraid to move it though. Because that's what happens when you move it. It gets all weird. Yeah, there we go. It just needs to shrink a little. Hopefully that won't crash everything. Anytime I change stuff in OBS on the fly, it panics. So I'm always very cautious about any of that, any shift around. So fingers crossed, but I think we're okay. Periscope's all good. You guys are looking fine. You know what? I keep rushing straight into this thing, and I ought to just come in and settle with you guys for a moment. I think that would make things a lot better in general. It would certainly make it better for me emotionally, psychologically, psychosexually. It's just important that we, because we're going to be dealing with a lot. The president was trying to foment an armed insurrection today, and then started saying that the H1N1 situation was worse than this, even though we didn't shut down the economy, and half as many people died through the whole thing. So, yeah. So we're gonna, let's crash the briefing, shall we? Shall we just dive into this nonsense? Let me get in here, because I'd rather have this page with you guys, so hold on. There you go. So you guys can at least join me for a part of this ridiculousness.
Get my payment. That way the IRS can get you your payment in days.
By the way, is anybody else psyched about the idea that Trump and the Republicans are now motivating people to sign up for the IRS and give them their bank account information?
And they,
and like FEMA. Oh, what a difference a day or two makes.
done a fantastic job, I have to say. And
Oh yeah, the IRS is doing a fantastic job. Are they done with your audit yet?
you won't have to wait for a check.
Oh, Trump's volume is low, and I was trying to be merciful with that, but that's probably my fault. Hold on. He's turned all the way up. It's super weird. You guys, yeah, that's there.
In the mail, I have some very good news. We sent out 80 million deposits.
I don't know why you're bragging about that. You had to send it out. People's lives depended on it. The world is in turmoil. You big dummy.
Less than 1% had even little problems. A couple had minor glitches, but it's.
Oh yeah, who had a minor glitch? Anybody who doesn't make over 100, under 100. Yeah, anybody who makes under $150,000 a year. Oh, thank you, Elaine.
Essentially less than 1%. So out of 80 million deposits, less than 1%, and that gets corrected immediately. So just please do.
Yeah, it's the law. Again, I don't know. He's making it out like these checks are from his personal account.
As I say, you'll get that very quickly, very easily. Today, I'm also announcing that Secretary Perdue, who happens to be right next to me, it's a man.
Audio is very down on YouTube. It's funny because I've got it turned up. I don't know why that would be. It's loud for me, but I will fix it. We will do this when I'm trying to fix it. I will just roll through this. What's happening, Safari? You are turned up 100%. Let me do this. I turn that up 100%. I'll turn me down some, and then I'll turn the whole damn thing up, and then that will solve it, I think. Personally, I think that will be the issue. And then we'll take this and bring it up to this, and you guys let me know if this should sound okay at this point.
And the Department of Agriculture will be.
Is that better? Is that a good volume for everybody?
Implementing a.
Thank you, 1524 Scooter.
$19 billion relief program for our great farmers and ranchers as they cope with the fallout of the global pandemic. Very honored.
Hey, how many payments are the farmers have they gotten in the last couple of years? And by the way, are we sure these are American farmers?
To be doing this.
No, we're not.
Our farmers, ranchers, we have these are great people.
Uh-huh. What the non-ranchers aren't? That's how the game are they going to be our heroes on the front lines of the global pandemic?
Great Americans.
Oh yeah? Even the Brazilian brothers who own land in Montana and got a piece of your big bailout about the Chinese tariffs, those guys, they're great Americans? Because I think they would argue they're great Brazilians.
Never complain. They never complain. They just do what they have to do.
Salt of the earth.
The program will include direct payments to farmers as well as mass purchases of dairy, meat, and agricultural produce to get.
Mm-hmm. You mean government subsidies? The government is buying large chunks. I thought China was buying 50 billion of this.
That food to the people in need.
So yeah, food programs and SNAP, stuff like that. Stuff Democrats argue for all the time. You guys must be enjoying this.
The USDA will receive another $14 billion in July that will have funding.
In July?
To continue help.
Is anybody having is there a lot of food just sitting on shelves that I'm unaware of that's not being sold?
Are helping, and this will help our farmers and our ranchers, and it's money well deserved. So not only
well deserved, you're having to shore it up because the economy's collapsing. You're creating food programs. Thank you, 666, for the fund. Thank you, Michelle. That's right, everybody. Do what you can to chip in to help me buy 666 Fifth Avenue. That's my goal. That's what we're raising money for. That's what your super chats and all the Patreon money goes to. Is my my dream of owning 666 Fifth Avenue. And I know what you're saying. Hello with your thing. Hal, I know what you're saying. You can't afford to buy 666 Fifth Avenue. It's too expensive. Well, and my response is that never stopped Jared Kushner.
Were they targeted at one point by China? And that was over.
They weren't targeted by China. those were the goods they get from us the most. The Chinese aren't buying a lot of missiles from us. And they're not buying a shit ton of milk, by the way.
Period of time, and you saw that happen.
Thank you, Lisa Miamore.
And they never complained, but that worked out very well.
Yeah, they didn't complain. They just told you that your ridiculous trade fight was costing them their farms. There have been more farm bankruptcies during your presidency than the previous 10 years, including 2008.
$12 billion they got and $16 billion they got. And now it's $19 billion. And I'm just going to ask Secretary Perdue to explain exactly how we're going to handle it. Thank you.
Thank you, Hillamex. And, what?
Well, Mr. President,
Mr. President, you might know me from movies such as Up,
you remember earlier this year,
where I wear much bigger glasses.
you tweeted a message
Oh, God, we're starting with what, a tweet.
to our farmers and ranchers that no matter the circumstances, you pledged to stand behind them. And while none of us could ever have anticipated this type of pandemic that we're currently in, I think that
No, lots of people anticipated this kind of pandemic. There was people in the government whose job it was, and that asshole fired them. Why is lack of imagination something we're supposed to be impressed by? Let me just say this to any one of you who might want to be president sometime in the future or even remotely thinking about it. Work on your imagination, because I'm not saying you have to be all David Icke lizard people on this, but you're going to need to plan for things like 2 hurricanes hitting at the same time and 2 tornadoes hitting the same county at the same time, and viruses that have hit us before coming back worse, and infectious disease being a problem in a global economy. Why in the world are we supposed to impress because you don't think anybody could have imagined this? Look, buddy, I can imagine anything. Watch, I'll do it right now. That was a good one. That was a fun one. That was a fun thing to imagine. Just saying. And I would never say someone couldn't imagine what I just imagined.
today's announcement is proof that you have our farmers' backs and that
Oh, yeah, he's on their backs.
you will continue to do
Humping like a terrier.
what it
Vote for me. Vote for me. I paid your bills.
takes to support them, and they are very grateful. We've heard a lot recently.
Like, this is the shoot me and give me a Band-Aid way of getting votes.
All of you about our food supply chain. I think America now knows that more than ever that the wholesome food that our families depend upon and starts with America's farmers and ranchers.
Yeah, for the most part, except the vegetables from Mexico, but we'll get to that later.
America, agriculture has been hard hit like most of America with the coronavirus, and President Trump
No. Their biggest issue has been transferring food that would go to restaurants and that's packaged for restaurants and prepared for restaurants to be sold to individuals who are cooking it at home. That's the biggest problem. That is, there was not a pestilence. This pandemic did not strike corn. It didn't jump from humans to wheat.
is
Wheat. Fields of wheat.
standing with our farmers and all Americans to make sure we all get through this national emergency. So today, thanks to your direction and leadership, Mr. President, USDA is announcing the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. As you mentioned, this new $19 billion program will take several immediate actions to assist farmers, ranchers, and consumers in response to the COVID-19 national emergency.
Okay, first of all, this is stuff that Republicans scuttle constantly whenever there's whenever there's any kind of a natural disaster in anywhere but a red state. So the idea that I'm not pissed at this. This is what you should do. This is basically nationwide government cheese. That's what's happening right now.
Program is really divided into 2
But the idea that they somehow invented it is hilarious.
parts. One is a direct payment, $16 billion in direct payments to farmers, ranchers, and producers who've experienced
You mean paying farmers not to grow? That kind of payment?
unprecedented losses during this pandemic. Since we wanted to get the payments out to producers as quickly as possible, we decided to use the funds in the CCC, the current funds of $6.5 billion, combined with the 19.5 of COVID money, rather than wait for the replenishment of the CCC funds in July. Based on industry estimates of damage, Mr. President, it is becoming apparent that we'll need the additional CCC funds as we continue to track the.
So another $6.6 billion on top of the $6.6 billion they already had in the $70
economic losses. Secondly, and this is really important as well, the USDA will be purchasing $3 billion in fresh produce, dairy, and meat products to be distributed to Americans in need through our food bank networks, as well as other community and faith-based organizations.
Yeah, the taxpayer is paying farmers for their goods to be given to the populace.
Having to dump milk or plow under vegetables ready to market is not only financially distressing, but it's heartbreaking as well to those who produce them.
Why would that be the answer? And thank you, Joe Carter.
This program will not only provide direct financial relief to our farmers and ranchers, Mr. President, but will allow for the purchase and distribution of our agricultural abundance in this country to help our fellow Americans in need. So in recent weeks, we've seen, all of us have seen
We're supposed to be ecstatic at the idea that during a pandemic, the normal functions of government, understand that we have something in the order of like 20% unemployment on deck, that instead of plowing fields under and dumping milk, we're going to find other ways to distribute it. Yeah, you're supposed to. This is also something that should have been done, planned for in February.
Heroic patriotism of our food supply chain workers that have shown day in and day out doing the work to serve the needs of fellow Americans. Our farmers have been in the fields planting and doing what they do every spring to feed the American people, even with the pandemic as we speak. I want to thank you, Mr. President, for your unwavering support. They want to thank you for your unwavering support for America's farmers and ranchers, and I want to commit to you, Mr. President, and to the American people that USDA will do everything in our power to implement this program as quickly and as efficiently as possible to help our.
Yeah, you should. Don't throw your arm out patting yourself on the back for stuff you're supposed to do that you haven't done yet. Yeah, this is Purdue.
Farmers, ranchers, producers, and consumers during this great time of need. So thank you very much for having me here today. And God bless you. God bless America. God bless American agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Joyce.
So our great Secretary of Agriculture was the governor of Georgia for 8 years, and the only reason he isn't still there, frankly, is that he was term limited. And I said, let's get him for agriculture. You've done a fantastic job. We want to thank you very much. 8 years at Georgia.
And yeah, 8 years there. And how long was your phone call with faith people? Was it 45 minutes? Was there a 2-hour phone call before that with 50 governors?
We really appreciate it. Great job.
No, normal job. I mean, the only part that's great about the job as far as you're concerned is the flagrant ass kissing.
Even as we prepare to rebuild our economy.
Best rusty trombone I've gotten from an agricultural secretary in my life. Okay, thank you.
Continues to wage an all-out medical war to defeat the invisible enemy. To date, we have conducted more than 3.78 million coronavirus tests, by far the most of any country. It's not even close. In the hardest hit areas.
No, it's close in a bunch of areas.
Such as New York and Louisiana, we've also tested more people per capita than South Korea, Singapore, and every other country.
Yeah, because they already bent their curve.
The United States has the most.
I think I fixed the mic. Did I fix the mic? Is it better now? It was a little crackly when I get loud sometimes.
Most advanced and accurate testing system anywhere in the world.
Yeah, more cases, more deaths.
As of yesterday, we have distributed nearly 660,000 Abbott IDs. Now, that's an incredible test. It's called the ID Now Point of Care Diagnostic Test.
So you go easy on that. Did you get all the words out?
And it's fantastic. It's the hot,
still
that's the
crackling a
hot
bit.
one. Problem
It's
with this,
the hot one. That's the test all the kids want. That's all. It's super exciting. Come on, give me that hotness. Give me that hot old test, man.
business is it's the hot one till about 2 days from now.
It's gonna be, yeah. Watch out, Abbott. You're gonna be yesterday's news.
Because we do have a saliva test that just
Oh God. Ew.
came out, and that can be self-administered, and it's said to be fantastic.
It's great. It's tasty. Oh my God.
I want to thank Abbott Laboratories. They have been incredible. I want to thank Roche.
Yeah, but they're gonna be yesterday's news next week.
They've likewise been incredible.
Yeah, have they? Because they're gonna have antibody tests in the UK by next week. Are we gonna have them too? My mic is now inaudible. It's now too quiet. Is that what's happening? But I turned it. I'm seeing it in the thing. Check. 1, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1.
For the last several days, we've
Is it still crackly? Is it crackly? What's happening? Still crunchy? What's happening? I'm gonna switch mics. I don't know why. This one, I don't know why, but it acts a little better. This one's a little better off. Sometimes. Oh yeah, we'll try to get it right. Okay. And it's not peaking red anymore. So that's a good sign. Is it loud enough in the mix? We'll find out.
seen a dramatic increase in the number of tests conducted by hospitals and academic institutions, which have now performed nearly 600,000 tests. There's a tremendous amount of unused capacity in the states available for governors to tap. We have tremendous unused capability within.
Explain how that works. Tell me how there are labs there, and therefore, because they're not using those labs, because they're busy doing paternity tests and rape kits and stuff like that. They've got the beakers. They've got beakers. There's beakers. They should have beakers.
Those laboratories, and I hope the governors are going to be able to use them. The governors are responsible for testing, and I hope that
Yeah, it's all their fault now. It was China and the WHO's fault that it came here, and now it's the governor's fault if it doesn't get fixed. You lazy bitch.
going to be able to use this tremendous amount of available capacity that we have. It's up to 1 million additional tests per week.
10 million additional tests per week.
When you think of that,
I am thinking of that. That's the up to 1 million potential. How so? They don't have the swabs. They don't have the chemicals to do the tests. The federal government is either heading them off, buying them up, sending them to states where they favor the governors and the senators from those states. But tell me how that potential works. Is it kind of high school potential, like guidance counselor Dave? I know you like that rock and roll music there, but you got a lot of potential if you use it.
in the next few weeks, we'll be sending out 5.5 million testing swabs to the state. Swabs can be done easily by the governors themselves.
You're going to be sending out the swabs? Where are they now? So you're admitting there aren't enough swabs. Good. Okay, cool. Oh, it might be that it's rubbing on my shirt? It shouldn't be. I'm not. It's check. Check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. It might be, is there feedback someplace? Let me check I'll check my jacks. Come on, man. Let me do that. Let me try and fix that. Is that a little better? Yeah. When I think about you, I swab myself. Oh.
Mostly it's cotton. It's not a big deal.
Oh my God. I don't know if you've ever seen a swab. Let's see, my OBS DBs for the mic. There, I will do precisely that. Let's see what's they got. Oh, I know what might be in here. Hold on one second. I got an idea. Perhaps. We'll go to noise suppression, see if that does anything for it. And perhaps that'll somehow make it a little better. I don't know. And then we'll add a little compressor action on that. See if that actually helps it. I don't know. Does that seem okay? Still crackly. Son of a bitch. I have an idea. Wait 1 second. Hold on, man. We're gonna try something else. I don't know why it is today that it wasn't yesterday, unless the battery's done. No, battery's all charged. I did everything right. I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on. It's wrong. Just wrong. Done. Okay. Let me try this. Let me go old school on it for a second. And we'll add, hold on. Whoops. It won't be as sexy, but by God, it'll work. Can you guys hear me okay? Is that microphone, does that sound reasonable? Is that a good mic? Does that sound okay? I'm trying that for now. Worse? I fixed something and then I fixed it. Hold on. And then I didn't fix it. Now it's worse. Oh, good. Oh, I see, because I put those things on. I'll take off the things that I did, because we'll remove the filters. Done. How about that? Ooh, that's hot. That's a hot mic, man. Come on. I worked so hard on everything, and then it all falls apart right before, and it's terrible. It's a little hollow. Porcelain toilet. Is that a little better? Hey, all right. That could be it. Way clearer, but there's a high pitch in the background. You know what that is? I bet you I can tell you what that is. Hold on. I can fix it. Hold on. Hello, come in. I'm fine. Just my foot. That high pitch sound is my fan in here because it's incredibly hot with all these lights. Okay, let's take another break for ourselves and our emotionally. Just gather ourselves. Peace. It is a Friday after all. It's Friday. It is Friday, right? This is America, right? It's Friday night in America. Here we go. Now we do it. Yes? We're gathering. We're good. All right.
You can get cotton easily, but if they can't get it, we will take care of it.
Oh, I see. He thinks we're low on swabs because we're low on cotton? Thank you, Steve. All right. I like entering tease by.
Yesterday, the FDA announced a new collaboration with United Health Group, the Gates Foundation, Quantigen, and U.S. Cotton to greatly expand the supply of essential swabs, including a new polyester Q-tip type swab for the coronavirus testing.
Polyester, like your hair.
All of these actions will help our testing capability.
Yeah, without any help from you. Why are you taking credit for literally? This dude is telling stories. Now I'm out of focus. This dude is telling stories. Thank you, Steve. About how other people have gone, holy shit, if we don't do something, we're all dead. And then he's going, look how great everybody's being.
We continue to grow dramatically. So we're helping people even with swabs. We get ventilators. We're now the king of ventilators. We have
the king of ventilators. King of ventilators. I will always be king of ventilators.
Hundreds of thousands under construction.
Yeah, and they're going to be here too late, and we needed them months ago, and you blew it.
We don't need them ourselves. The governors are in great shape. If we do, we have.
No, that we have. New York already figured out that they have 2 people on a ventilator there. They need more ventilators, but they can now spare them.
Have a great stockpile that we'll immediately send to the state in need.
Yeah, we're not going to need them for this. We're recognizing that there's a lot more problems.
But we've handled that situation incredibly well. I hope people understand it. I wish the media would get the word out. What we've done.
What word out? What? That you were 6 weeks behind all this?
And ventilators is amazing because they're big, expensive, and
they're difficult. They're like a car, and they're like the Cadillac of ventilators, not these cheap shit Walkman kind of ventilators. Is cheap China crap. Like,
highly complex.
Highly complex. It's a ventilator. We know everything in a hospital is complex. Did you realize that in those clear bags there's all kinds of stuff? I thought it was just water.
We're speaking to other countries. I spoke to President of Mexico today, a great gentleman, and I told him that
you can have some of ours when we're done with them.
Going to be helping him out with ventilators, helping Mexico out, and we'll be helping.
Yeah, well, how do you? Anybody know how to say "Don't hold your breath" in Spanish? Anybody?
Some other countries too. We have a lot of very high level, high quality ventilators.
Not these pieces of like. You probably got those crap ones in Mexico. We got the good ones.
And they're here and they're also being manufactured as we speak. Following
We no, we don't have a bunch of high quality ventilators we can part with right now.
the announcement of our reopening guidelines, there have been some very partisan voices in the media and politics who have
Oh my God! Here comes the whining.
spread false and misleading information about our testing capacity. It's totally
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Tell us what was wrong about that. Besides the number of tests going down, and for some reason, your own CDC isn't counting the Abbott point of care tests, and that's why the number went down. Not because you've been focusing on one-to-one single tests that take 15 minutes instead of the bigger labs that do 500 to 1,000 at a time. Excuse me, yeah, and that you're out of swabs, and that you don't have the. Yeah.
false and misleading, demonstrating
Oh yeah, tell us.
a complete failure to understand the enormous scope of the testing
Poor baby. Ooh, they don't understand how hard I'm working.
capabilities that we've brought online. And we started really from ground zero.
No, you didn't.
We started from really being very, very outdated and obsolete as a
Yeah, you were president for 3.5 years. Whose fault is that?
country from the past.
Oh yeah? Which past? The last 3.5 years?
And I will
Who's been president while you've been golfing?
say this, if they didn't understand it, it's just really, unfortunately, I hate to say this because we've been getting along very well, but it would be false reporting because they understand the capability.
The capability of what? We know what we're capable of. It's what we're doing with it. Like, this is ridiculous. This is the coach of a game benching all the best players because they make them look bad and putting all of his friends up to bat.
And it's going to be up to the states to use that capability. The states have local points where they can go. A governor can call the mayors, and the mayors can call representatives, and everything is perfect. And that's the way it should work and always should work.
Oh yeah, just from now on, that's how America works, guys. All the nations, if you get attacked by a foreign agent, or if your elections get hacked by the Russians, that's not a federal thing anymore. Deal with that on the state level.
Will help New York and all of the other states get even better on their testing. We have to get
Oh yeah, please don't. Yeah, stop helping. As a matter of fact, I don't even know why I'm complaining about how little you want to do. Things get better. Notice since he's gone, you know what? Screw it. You guys do it. Everything's gotten better. The arc started to come down. The beds. Once the governors started coordinating amongst themselves, they're fine.
even better. And some people think a little bit differently. There are areas where you have vast amounts of
Of what?
area where
Area? We've got vast amounts of area. So poetic. Why don't they add that to the national anthem? And vast amounts of area from sea to big flat space.
you have very few people and
Oh my God.
almost no people are infected.
No. See, in a small town where everybody hangs out, one person is enough to get everybody. C, asterisk, C opioid problem.
And those places will be looked upon differently by different governors. And I think
Huh?
you're going to have a lot of news coming out about that over the next few days. I think
Are ya? Are ya? Yeah, you know what the news are going to happen? 3 new peaks coming in the rural areas.
certain states are going to come online, and they're going to start the early stages of the puzzle that we're putting together. And it's
The puzzle that we're putting together.
going to be together sooner rather than later. A lot of really incredible things are happening. And at some point in the not too distant future, we're going to have our country back.
Oh, God.
And it's going to be, I think, really with what we're doing on stimulus and helping people keep their businesses together and their lives together and their jobs, it's going to be
Yeah, it's what the Democrats are doing too. It's what the entire government is doing. I don't know why you think you're special. what part of this were you going to scuttle? What part of you were like, dude, we have to add this? Zero.
Better than ever before.
No. Sorry. You can't kill 39,000 Americans and then go, that's better.
I hope so. I really do.
I really hope that killing 39,000 Americans just by golfing with my thumb up my ass, that's what it does. What is the secret to making America great again? Well, 39,000 fewer people, clearly. Addendum the number later.
The current conversation is reminiscent of what happened on ventilators. You remember that?
Yeah, we've heard it every day. You just talked about it.
When requests were made far beyond what was objectively needed. We were hearing from...
Yeah, because they were going on what was going on in Italy and in China at the time. They were projecting out on that. They also were talking about when you can't bend the curve, what you're going to expect. Thank you, Templeton. Appreciate it. And I missed one too. I saw one go by, and thank you, Benny Loco.
a certain state, and we were hearing from a lot that they needed far more ventilators. In one case, they wanted 40,000 ventilators, 40,000.
Yeah, because they are a center focal point for the disease.
It turned out that they had plenty, and they had a number of...
They didn't have plenty. They started doubling people up and repurposing one from anesthesiologists and the like, and then also recognizing that a lot of the people who go on the ventilators or get intubated very seldomly come off of it, so they were just going without.
About 7,000 or 8,000, and that was plenty. We supplied them with a lot.
Yeah, and then they went and got their own.
But that was the right number.
You didn't supply them with those. They had that many.
We got it just about right.
No, you didn't. We got it just about right.
And if they did need more, we're ready to give more. But I think the surge seems to be over. And there are a lot of...
You think the surge seems to be over?
The governor's just doing a great job, and they're working with us, but we're all working together.
No, they're working in spite of you. That's,
research and development that we've done at the federal level has been absolutely incredible.
No, it isn't. You've been nothing but an obstruction. Everybody else is just doing it on their own. Literally, you stockpiled a bunch of hydroxychloroquine. That's the only idea he had. He bought 29 million doses of hydroxychloroquine, and it does not work. The irony is, he mentioned a couple of times remdesivir. He's mentioned that a couple of times. That was another one that was being tested, but I don't know that we get credit for that one because they were using it in South Korea. It's been a drug around for rheumatoid arthritis. All of that stuff has been around. Thanks, Rob, and thank you, Amy K. Remdesivir actually has is having a positive effect. They're seeing a couple of positive effects on it. It's not bad. But he hasn't talked about it hardly at all because he backed hydroxychloroquine and blew the other ones off. I don't know. Did he find out that America has the patent on hydroxychloroquine and South Korea has it on remdesivir?
The media
remdesivir, pardon me.
Will be accepting of these figures when they get to see the end result. I think they're going to see it, and I think they're already seeing it. That includes not only ventilators, but beds. We built, in most cases, far more than they even needed. But we wanted to err on
Yeah, tell us about refrigerator trucks.
the side of caution. This is what the governors wanted. They wanted a certain amount in.
Tell us about bodies in sheds because there weren't enough places to store the dead.
Louisiana. I spoke with the governor, had a long talk with him, and I said, "Do you think you'll need that final hospital?" And they actually didn't need it. We built a...
No, because you don't convalesce people in an enclosed environment with it. You send them home, and then if they have breathing problems, then they come to the hospital.
A lot of beds, so I appreciate it from the governor. And we saved building a hospital. In New York, we did, I think, just a spectacular job at the Javits Center.
Yeah, by the way, Jim in our chat room says remdesivir is under clinical trials. The University of Chicago has some positive results. the only issue with it is there is no placebo group, so they don't have that, because you're not going to give somebody a sugar pill and see if they die. They give it to everybody, but they only had 2 deaths in their entire spectrum of people, and they were all on the same expectation. So yeah,
And even sending the ship up became, we brought it into COVID, but
look at you guys, they're like making the cup bounce all over here, but it's so exciting.
they didn't really need it. It didn't get much use, but it was there and ready. There was
Yeah, because if you need to go into the hospital, you go in like 4 hours and then you're on a ventilator. And then you're on the ventilator for 18 days and you're lucky if you come off. They're just figuring out the treatments now. The projections about the ventilators were absolutely correct. They just pointed to the fact that they had to work around you.
supposed to be used.
We're not going to get the ventilators. What are our other options? What do you think? Like, what are governors supposed to do? I'd like to inform the citizens of our great state that the government can't give us what we need, so you guys are just going to have to die. We can't think of anything else to do.
For that purpose, we changed it into that purpose, and it.
You mean changed it into a purpose like anesthesiologists did with their ventilators, or how New York put 2 people on a ventilator at the same time repeatedly?
Was there ready,
That kind of
willing,
repurposing?
and able. Same with Javits, but they didn't quite need the rooms that the beds that we produced. So we produced almost 2,900.
Poor baby. Yeah, the entire city shut down. There's no foot traffic. That's what it took to not use the Javits Center.
Beds, and
The people of New York are why the Javits Center is not being used, not you.
I think I'd rather tell you that we were over-prepared than we were underprepared, and that was
You weren't prepared at all. You responded.
good faith effort by New York. I have to say that, a very
You don't have to say it. You should say it.
good faith effort. But it's nice that we didn't need that. Instead of needing it, it was
It's lovely. It's just, it's sweet. It's nice. It is nice. It's nice. Nice. Not thrilling, but nice.
very occupied. But it was ready to go. Still there should something happen. But I think they have it under very good control. As you'll hear from our
Yeah.
experts today, we've already built sufficient testing capacity nationwide for states to begin their reopenings.
No, we don't. We haven't got that at all. That was not the statement yesterday. The requirement for it was mentioned yesterday. The fact that you don't have it was kind of swept under the rug.
And I think you'll be hearing a lot about reopenings in the coming weeks and months.
I'm sure we'll hear about it from you in the coming weeks and months. Did you hear that? That's a nice little toss on the end.
Most excitingly, in the coming weeks, I think you're going to see some very
Today, hours, right now. Open it up. I don't care. I mean, we can afford to lose some of these losers.
very dramatic steps taken, and very safely. We're putting safety first.
Are you? Are you really? Because safety would mean antibody tests and regular tests to see if people are positive for the virus. That would be putting safety first.
We may be opening, but we're putting safety first.
Huh? Then you're not.
And
Because you're not testing enough to know how many people are out there with it and where they're going to be and what they're going to do and who they're going to interact with. You don't even know why the people who end up dying from this specifically die from it. They don't. Some people have comorbidities, a good deal of them, but a bunch of people don't, and they do not know why.
when you look at the numbers, when you look at the possible number of deaths at 2.2 million people,
If you did nothing.
and it could have very well been that. It could have been more.
No, it couldn't have been that. No, it wouldn't have. I got news for you, dummy. It wouldn't have been 2.2 million people. You know why? Because the American people would have recognized somewhere around 500,000 dead that drastic efforts needed to be taken.
Frankly, I've been looking at numbers where it could have been higher than that.
No, you haven't.
2.2 million people died.
No, you're inflating the big number to make your number look better.
If you figure we lost 500,000,
That's more than the Civil War.
600,000 of the Civil War,
Right. Yeah.
2.2 million people. A minimum, if we did nothing, would have been 1.6, if you cut that in half, you're talking about 8.
Oh my God, I don't know why he thinks fractions. Every day he does fractions. If you did half of the number of the worst, I'm still better than 1/5 of the possible worst. Therefore, I'm the best.
100,000, 900,000, a million people dying.
Yeah, over the course of the disease, dummy. I got news for you. There are going to be 3 rounds of this.
But we did a lot of work, and the people of this country
You didn't do a lot of work. The American people did all the work.
were incredible, I have to say. And
Yeah, look at the economy. That's who did it. Everybody stayed home.
I think we're heading to the other category, and that would be if we did work and if it was
Hi, Carl.
successful. They had between 100,000 and 220,000 to 240,000 on the upside, and I think we'll be substantially, hopefully, below the 100 number. And I think right now we're heading at probably around 60.
Yeah, because if you die after June 1st, you don't count.
Maybe 65,000. And one is too many. I always say it, one is too many. It's a
Apparently it isn't, because you want to open up and you just figure people are going to die from it and you just got to suck it up. That's just pretense. Like, that's absurd.
horrible thing that happened to our country. There's a horrible thing that happened to
Yeah, we know. Oh, you mean, I thought you were talking about your presidency for a second.
184 countries
Oh, yeah, well, they hate the fact that you're our president, too.
all over the world. Is a horrible thing, and there was no reason for it.
Yeah, there was a reason for it. There was a cause. There was a reason. No one deserved it, I think is what you mean.
It should never, ever happen again.
It will.
In a few
That's why you need a pandemic response team in the White House.
minutes, you'll be hearing from Dr. Redfield, Dr. Fauci.
Uh-oh, Dr. Redfield, not Renfield. Very important, whatever. Does that guy work with Renfield? He works with Rudy Giuliani, right?
Dr. Birx, and Admiral Guar to explain these facts in
Admiral Guar, please come out. Oh,
really great
please, Guar must perform. I mean, that's the way to end this pandemic.
detail. Earlier this week, the FDA authorized 2 new antibody tests, which is very exciting, that will determine if someone has been previously infected with the virus,
Mm-hmm. Like me and my mom, you mean?
bringing the total to 4 authorized antibody tests already. This will help us assess the number of cases that have been asymptomatic.
Not if you can't get one, dummy. But this is literally, you might as well be telling me about how great rocket ships are for commercial travel. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when you can take a rocket ship to the other side of the world? It's like a flight in an hour because you're going to leave the atmosphere and come back down. Yeah, it's a great conversation. Well, how much are tickets? Oh, it could be like $250,000. Well, then why are you talking? Let's get in line for this Southwest flight.
Or mildly symptomatic, and support our efforts to get Americans back to work by showing us who might have developed the wonderful, beautiful immunity.
The wonderful, beautiful immunity. See, it's not your fault if you get sick from it. It's just that your immune system is ugly.
Ultimate
I give your immune system a 3. No tits, saggy butt.
victory in this war will be made possible by America's scientific brilliance. There is nothing like us. There is nobody like us, not even.
Well, except maybe the Germans who you tried to buy out, and of course the South Koreans who've been working on this as well, and basically the 9 Roche labs across the globe that have been doing this, and maybe people who've dealt with malaria in the Gates Foundation in Africa, and there is a bunch.
Close. I wish I could tell you stories what other countries, even powerful countries, say to me.
Oh, yeah, well, tell us. I'm sure you'll tell us. And do their accent too. You guys do good testises.
Leaders.
We wish them we had. What the? This guy comes in and he goes, "Sir, you not have good tests in our country like we have country like yours." Jesus.
And they say it quietly, and they say
Do they whisper, "Oh, nice testing"? Like, what do you mean they say it quietly? Look, don't tell Putin, okay? But you guys have the best tests. I mean, if anybody's ever seen one. You know what I mean?
testing, I would say, like Bigfoot. You know what I mean? America has more of them, but nobody's ever seen one.
It off the record, but they have great respect for
Why why are they who cares?
what we can do. And
Have you not, Peter, have you not seen him do his Asian accent thing? Have you not seen it? I'm imitating him, not them. Understand me.
country is at a point, a few weeks ago, think of it, 4 or 5 weeks ago, we were at a level that nobody had ever attained, the best job numbers we've ever had,
Oh my God. Little young girls, that glory days.
the best economy we've ever had. Every company virtually was doing better business than ever before. The stock market was at all-time highs. And
Now now nobody makes money except takeout food, glove manufacturers, and the people that sell and repair fleshlights. I don't know how we're gonna get it back.
then one day they said,
Hi, Jimmy Reed. It's nice to see all the Irish in here. Good to see you folks. Nice to see a bit of family.
you got to close it up.
Oh my God, tell us the story again.
And we did the right thing.
Oh, did we? Yeah, we did the right thing 6 weeks late. Like, I dove in after that drowning boy. I mean, he was already dead, but
Saved maybe
I did the right thing. You didn't drive. I was 16 miles away, and I can't swim. Yeah, but I'm the one who dove in. You just jumped into the shallow end. You drowned in the deep end. Look, I did the right thing, okay?
millions of lives by doing it the way we did it.
No. You save millions of lives just by doing anything. Because the 1 million to 2.2 million lives is if you did nothing. If America did nothing. I got news for you. If he hadn't done anything at all, and this rolled in, and was killing people left and right, the states and everybody else would be like, I'm not going outside.
But we're paying a price, but that price is very unimportant compared to the number of lives we're talking about. The NIH and others are conducting clinical trials of 35 different therapies and treatments, therapies being so exciting to me.
Are they? Why are they exciting? Tell us about therapies and why they're so exciting. And please get therapy.
Because that's really like, if something
That's what's it like?
happens, you're going to get better reasonably quickly.
Oh, that's how it works. Oh, therapies mean that you're going to get better reasonably quickly. Tell that to Woody Allen and Annie Hall. I've been going for 11 years, but
And without such a horrible deal as some people have to go through.
You mean the dead?
To that end, today, NIH announced that it is launching a public-private partnership with more than a dozen biopharmaceutical companies. They're
Well, that was a tough one. Getting biopharmaceutical out.
HS, FDA, CDC, and the European
Yeah, the letters by themselves way easier.
Medicines Agency. They're all working together. We're working together with a lot of other countries.
Really? When did that start? When did the National Institute for Health and the Center for Disease Control start working with pharmaceutical and medical professionals in the country and around the world? When did that shit start? If only we had thought about this during the AIDS crisis.
The partnership
wait.
will marshal and coordinate the vast resources, knowledge, assets, and authorities of more than a dozen.
Well, you can't put assets and authorities on the page right next to it. It takes them a second to recognize that those A words are different. And not to say asshole.
Organizations and agencies to
Oh, and agencies. They're messing with him.
accelerate development of the most promising therapies and vaccines. The vaccines are coming along really, really well.
Are they? What's the progress report? What's statistically in the process has happened in the stage 1 clinical trials of the viruses? What was the big change from Wednesday? How's that coming along? Explain it to us, please, and have graphs.
Johnson & Johnson is very well advanced.
He just likes to say Johnson. Johnson & Johnson is very well advanced. English.
And one thing is they have to, we're having great success, but we have to test them, and it takes a long period of time.
Oh, well then, you know how you know if you're having success? If you pass the tests. See, the testing part is so you know if it's successful. You don't have success first and then test the success. It's so good that sometimes we have to look at how good it is.
It takes probably over a year, unfortunately.
Oh, does it? Probably over a year, does it?
But therapies likewise are coming along very, very well. Therapy
Oh, yeah? Tell us the details. Break it down.
immediate when we get
Break it down. Oh. Can't touch me.
that. That'll be a big day. We're also equipped.
It'll be a big day. We're going to have it'll be Donald Trump Day. Is that what he's hoping? We have a national, they're going to carry me on their shoulders. And then after they get shoulder surgery.
Our medical warriors on the front lines. In total, we have the Project Air Bridge. And
No. Project Farting Eagle.
the air bridge has been incredible. The National
It looks like a big Tylenol.
Strategic Stockpile and every other
We've been flying it overseas to Thailand and places and taking stuff right off the dock that was supposed to go to Germany or even some of our own states.
channel the federal government has deployed. If you think about this, 44.5 million N95 masks, nearly 520
Oh my God, now we get the list of the stuff again. Oh my, the grocery list.
million gloves,
Butter, eggs, milk. Shit, I forgot cereal again.
63.5 million surgical masks, and more than 10 million gowns, and we have
And a partridge.
500 million masks coming in very soon.
Oh yeah? How many does California have? Are you counting Californias amongst your numbers? You bet you are. That means the federal government is making 300 million, and one state by itself is getting 200 million. And I'm gonna guess those 300 million you found, you're counting from the ones that New York ordered, and the ones that Washington State ordered, and the ones that the other states, and that.
Between manufacturing and orders, 500 million
Uh-huh.
masks.
Between manufacturing and orders. So between eggs I eat for breakfast and eggs I one day hope to lay, that's 2 eggs. I'll let you work it out.
The last few months have been among the most challenging times in the history of our nation.
No shit. Look at this. Look at that guy. He's running things, sort of. I mean, not really. Mike Pence is, but you know.
This invisible
Enemy.
enemy is tough,
Uh-huh.
and it's smart, and it's vicious.
No, it's a virus. It's a single cell life form.
But every day we're getting closer to the future that we all have been waiting for.
Yeah, when you get run out of office. You mean November?
I talk about the light at the end of the tunnel.
Uh-huh, and it's an oncoming train. Yeah.
We are
Do
getting
you not know that analogy that has actually been swamped by the negative, ironic version? Does he not know that? I mean, literally, you can't say in normal parlance, there's a light at the end of the tunnel without going, it's an oncoming train.
very, very close to seeing that light shine very brightly at the
Uh-huh, yeah. And hearing that horn and feeling the impact.
and it's happening, and I want to thank everybody in the room. I want to thank I actually want to thank some of the media. We've had
Some of the media.
some fair coverage, some really fair coverage,
Some of the media.
and I appreciate it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our great Vice President, Mike Pence, and he's going to take over for a little while. I'm going to leave, and I'm coming right back. And
Oh, disco dump. He's doing a disco dump. This is what happens when you have a coke problem. Apparently, you have to take these massive dumps, and they won't wait. You'll get a turtle head poking out.
we'll take some questions. They're going to go over our tremendous testing capabilities.
Yeah, please, let's.
And again, I'll be right back. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. Please, why can't we have a lavalier on him? Why? Why can't we have, yeah, his diaper's full. Why can't we have a lavalier on him so you just hear the toilet flushing while Pence is talking?
Very much.
He doesn't want to be on stage for the bad news. I mean, I'm joking, about him going to take a disco dump, and that may very well be true just because he's wasting the time. But the reason he doesn't want to be on that stage is because this is when the contradictory reality hits.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good afternoon, all.
I'd like to thank the president for his guidance, his wonder, his joy, his verve, his signaling that every time he farts by yanking on his jacket so I know where to get downwind. And I'd like to thank Sonny Perdue. Say hi to Mary Tyler Moore for me.
Today, as the President
Thank you.
just reflected, it
Thanks, Carl.
remains a challenging time in the
Yeah, Carl, I'm late. Did I miss anything? No, Trump spoke. You did not.
life of our nation.
It was a broken record. It really was. I take it back. A broken record makes more lyrical sense.
Because of the extraordinary efforts of the American people, because of the strong partnership the federal government has forged with states across the country, we're making
What do you mean? Telling them to go piss off and solve it themselves?
progress, America. Despite the tragic loss of more than 36,000 Americans,
Thank you, Carl.
according to our best data reporting this morning, we continue to see new cases low and steady on the West Coast, and we continue to see cases and hospitalizations declining.
Yeah. But you know what's keeping them steady? Is the decline from the big states and the rise from the small states. See how that happens? See, the number stays the same because as this one goes down, this one's picking up speed. So there's a bridge between the two that carries this burning arc through the red states for the next month and a half. Stupid.
Greater New York City area, in New Orleans and Detroit, and elsewhere. This is a tribute, first and foremost, to our healthcare doctors, nurses, all of those working on the front
That's why Trump couldn't be on stage, because they're going to thank the doctors. And he's like, but, I could have been a doctor.
lines. But it's also a great tribute to the American
Thanks, Amos.
people who have put into practice the social distancing, the guidelines, the guidance of state and local officials. And we hope that every American is encouraged by the steady progress that we are making.
No. You're not making the progress. The states are making the progress, and they are occasionally screaming at you guys to do your job. And you are begrudgingly doing it while acting like it's not your problem.
We're
Did I miss anything? Honestly.
continuing to bring, at the President's direction, the full resources of the federal government to bear. Today, the President approved a major disaster declaration for American Samoa, and now all
Was that the one that was off the list? Did they just, what's my busy work today?
50 states and all territories
Thanks. Absolutely.
are under major
I'm glad you got tested today, Josephine. I hope my mom and I can, because we both think we had it. So it would be nice to have an antibody test.
disaster declarations for the first time in American history. At this present,
Well, again, why are you so proud of yourself? Why did it take so long for American Samoa to get a disaster declaration? And if there's 29 states that are ready to friggin' open, why would you even be proud of giving them a disaster declaration first? Are you going to rescind those disaster declarations? Because I bet your ass that if the president said, I'm going to let these states open up and we're going to rescind their disaster declarations, those red states, because all the extra federal money that they're getting because they're a disaster zone, would go, no. We'd rather keep our shelter in place. Thanks.
moment, 33,000 National Guardsmen are on duty, 5,500 active duty military personnel have been deployed to 9 states, including 716 medical professionals, doctors, and nurses who deployed out to 14 different hospitals today. Among those were 10 hospitals in New York City, and military personnel were also serving today in hospitals in Connecticut, Texas, Louisiana, and New Jersey.
Well, it's interesting. We've added Texas to this list of places, and you're going to pretend like you're not just expanding the list every 2 days?
Yesterday, as the president reflected, we unveiled the president's guidelines for opening up America again. There were two.
Yeah, they're exactly like everybody else says the standards you have to do to open any society. It's the same thing the Italians are doing. It's just 2 days. It's this. That's the only way to do it. But that doesn't mean you're actually ready to do it. Look, all of us can explain a dive we saw in the Olympics, right? I mean, you can go, oh yeah, so he went up, he took 2 steps off, he leapt, he did 2 tucks, a roll, 3 twists, a flip, and then he hit the water perfectly and made a tiny little splash. Yeah, great, now do it. I'm gonna need to work up to that. Yeah, you've never even jumped off a platform that high.
Parts at the beginning of those guidelines. First, the criteria that we hope will guide governors in their decisions about.
No. The governors have said those will guide theirs. They're hoping you don't tell the states next door that just blow it off.
Opening their states on either a statewide level or a county level.
County by county by county. This is how they're going to do it. County by county.
And then also we outlined what we believe would be the most important state responsibilities to have in place before moving.
Oh, the state's responsibility. See, if your citizens die, it's on you, governors.
Into a reopening plan. For phase 1, the president's guidelines, you'll recall.
What he would like to do is sneak up behind the coronavirus with a Tic Tac in his mouth.
Advised that states that have a downward trajectory in cases over a 14-day period of time and ensure that they have proper capacity in their healthcare facilities could move to phase 1 with the.
Okay, notice how they moved the football today? So yesterday I told you these guys were talking Trump down, right? They were going to lead him into this whole thing, making him think it's happening sooner by giving him steps to talk him, so he wouldn't just turn the light switch on. Remember that whole thing? Like Fauci, you're not just going to turn the light switch on. That's what this is. So Trump thought phase 1 starts today. What Pence is saying and why Trump is not on stage is that phase 1 starts in 14 days which means end of the month, May 1st, which, approximately. Then, if they meet those criteria, they have enough hospital beds for the dead and the sick, and they've got, sufficient testing, and that's on their, that's not the federal government's problem. And then they can start phase 1 of letting certain incidental businesses back online and a little bit of gatherings, like 10 people for the next 15 days, which brings us to May 15th. That's
easing of some.
That's why he's not on stage.
Of the social distancing and the criteria that have been in place. But for states that meet the criteria, we outlined specific responsibilities, protecting workers in critical industries, particularly protecting the most vulnerable, those who live and work in senior care facilities.
Stuff that the states are already working on because they can't count on you. Right.
Also encourage states to have a plan for testing symptomatic individuals and
symptomatic individuals. The problem with this is, I know a bunch of places, they were already open 2 weeks ago anyways. There's a bunch of people who've been blowing it off quite a bit. But what they're talking about is sort of a nationwide policy on this.
Ensuring testing to our most vulnerable populations.
You don't know who the most vulnerable populations are. You know who the most vulnerable populations are? People who don't know that they have a comorbidity or a particular weakness that this virus attacks. That's who the vulnerable are. Not old folks in old folks' homes. We know that they're vulnerable, and so that awareness makes them less of a target once we start handling it. Does that make sense to anybody? The people who are most vulnerable to this are the people who are like, surprise, this is going to kill you.
As the president has made clear, governors will decide the time and manner that their states reopen.
And if any of their citizens die, it's not the president's fault.
We will look to support them in that effort. But as we assured the
Thank you, Brandy.
American people yesterday, with the president's direction, our administration will continue to work with governors across the country to ensure that they have the equipment and the supplies and the testing resources to reopen safely and responsibly. On the subject of supplies, today we issued a letter to our nation's governors summarizing all the medical equipment and supplies that have been distributed to their state from FEMA between the 1st of this month and April 14th.
And you're not getting any more.
Project Airbridge and through the commercial supply network. We'll be speaking
Through the through the commercial supply network. So anything the states bought themselves, they're going to take credit for in this little list. We sent you 10 million masks. No, you sent us 500,000. We bought the rest.
with our nation's
No. What you buy counts.
governors on Monday and detailing that information at that time. As of April 16th, as the President reflected briefly, FEMA has coordinated the delivery of millions of pieces of medical equipment, including
We're going to read the list again. Grocery list.
44 million
Eggs, milk,
N95 respirators,
nylons,
63 million surgical masks,
double
more
D
than
batteries,
10,000 ventilators,
lube,
and of course deployed more than
pinwheel
8,600
hats,
federal
crotchless
medical
panties.
station beds. On the subject of testing resources, we're going to take some time
Sorry.
to speak about our administration's approach in partnership with states to continue
Come on, baby, won't you back that economy up? What is he doing with his
to
hands again?
expand testing across the country at this briefing. But from the very outset of this episode,
No, Mother would not approve of such a list, but it's a little closer to reality.
President Trump made efforts to essentially reinvent testing in America.
Oh my God. See, I'm also an inventor. He reinvented testing in America. Please, okay. I was going to skip past Pence's stuff because it's pretty much boilerplate, but now he is. I'm sorry, Trump is here to miss this. You know what I mean? It's kind of like watching somebody do this in the air and wishing you could step in and fill the void.
The traditional testing in this country that takes place at CDC or at state labs was designed for basically the kind of diagnostic testing that is routinely required. But the president early on in this effort brought together the leading commercial labs in America. We forged a public...
No, the disease brought together that mix of people who recognized that if they didn't solve it, everybody's dead.
and private partnership. And 6 weeks ago, we had
Yeah, this is not a traditional situation. Exactly right, John.
performed some 25,000 tests, and at this day, we have performed 3.7 million tests. We believe that labs and hospitals are now performing more than 120,000.
You believe they are? You believe they are? Oh, well, I believe that the tests are made out of taffy and you self-administer them through your proboscis.
Tests a day. And we've actually stood up a team from Walter Reed under the direction of Dr. Deborah Birx that is working around the clock to identify additional testing capacity across the country.
So? That's what you're supposed to do.
We
Yeah, there were supposed to be 4 million tests a month ago.
believe that states could actually more than double the amount of daily testing that is happening today.
Which is a ridiculously low number.
By simply
If we believe that Schaumburg will be the fastest growing city in American history if just 2 more families move in.
activating all of the labs. And Dr.
Statistically.
Birx will detail some of those resources today, and we'll be going over those very specifically with governors on Monday.
No, they'll be going over it with you.
We've also been promoting the development of new and innovative tests. We all know about the 15-minute Abbott test, but the FDA
Tell us about the 5-minute test that just got cleared. That is act like it's already happening.
is currently working on an antibody test that literally could add 20 million new tests to our supply.
No. Antibody tests are not the same as the PCR tests. They're 2 totally different fucking tests. What? I do not understand why he thinks that adds to the test. These are totally okay. Once you take the test to see if you have COVID-19, you could test negative for it, and then catch it 24 hours later and need that test again. So you need tens of thousands more tests than you have, by a logarithmical factor of the tests to see if people have the disease. The antibody test is if you suspect someone has had it, and you're trying to find out because they were in contact with somebody, and if it just passed through them asymptomatically, or if they healed with it, they had mild symptoms, they thought it was something else. These are not the same fucking tests. This doesn't. If we've noticed that tomato is technically a fruit, and we've got some apples, so I'm going to make an apple pie out of tomatoes, and it should be just as good. Enjoy your apple pie.
even before the end of April. I want to assure
Even before the end of April.
the American people that we're going to continue to work with your governors and with your state health officials to scale testing in the days ahead. But as you'll hear from all of our experts tonight, our best scientists and health experts assess that states today have enough tests to implement the criteria of phase 1 if they choose to do so.
No, they don't. And if that's even remotely possible, it's because the standard for starting towards phase 1 is so pathetically low that you don't care who dies.
Let me say that again.
Yeah, please. Let's hear it again.
Given the guidance in the president's new guidelines for opening up America again, states that meet the criteria for going into phase 1, and then are preparing the testing that is contemplated.
And then are preparing the testing that is contemplated. So states can enter into the period that leads up to phase 1 if they are currently building up the test capacity for entering phase 1, wherein by the end of phase 1, they would have the testing capacity to enter the beginning phase of phase 2. What a pile of dog shit.
By going to phase 1. Our best scientists and health experts assess
Don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
that today we have a sufficient amount of testing to meet the requirements of a phase 1 reopening.
No. You just said 14 days they have time to gather the testing possibilities based on untapped potential, allegedly, that will lead you to entering phase 1. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a drive-through thing at my Walmart parking lot nearby, and I just haven't seen it because I don't shop at Walmart.
If state governors
Because I haven't been outside in 2 weeks.
should choose to do that. And you'll hear more detail on that in just a moment.
No, you won't. No, not if Burks is saying it. You'll hear more kiss-ass bullshit.
At the president's direction, we're going to
This is aggravating. This is so awful.
be presenting an outline of our approach to testing in partnership with states during
No, you mean letting the states do it. I'm having a partnership with my cab driver who I'm going to ditch out on the fare.
this briefing. Our approach will continue to be locally executed, state managed, and federally supported.
From afar.
Dr.
We're going to be Moonbase Alpha.
Fauci will give us a brief introduction to the overall approach to testing that is contemplated to deal with.
That is contemplated. It's time for contemplations with Dr. Fauci. It's his new fragrance. Contemplations by Fauci. It's still under testing. We don't know if it'll work.
The coronavirus.
It might attract people. It might kill them. We don't know. We need more data.
Dr. Redfield of the CDC will describe.
Honest to God, I don't know why someone named Redfield is working at. It's just too close to Renfield. It just seems like a mistake.
Our
How's Dr. Frankenstein? Is he coming up?
plan to mobilize CDC officials in all 50 states to specifically monitor coronavirus incidents that occur in every state in the union.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're building up the process whereby the CDC will monitor. What are we, the UN in Africa now? It's very upsetting how many of these black people all have malaria. Well, mark it down.
Of course, Dr. Deborah Birx will describe not only our tests, but also the current capability and the capability that we could expand.
Like Dr. Redfield. I'd like to bring up Dr. Redfield. That was a juicy one.
Very readily. And Admiral Giroir of the U.S. Public Health Service will summarize our approach.
Admiral Jafar, really? No, I'm kidding.
I want to
At this point, everyone's a Disney villain as far as I'm concerned.
assure the American people that at the
I'm not assured. No, none of us are assured or reassured or...
President's direction, we are going to continue to work every single day to make sure that our states and communities have the testing they need to reopen at the time and manner of their choosing. And we're
of their choosing. And once they choose, if their citizens die, it's all their fault.
going to work every day to make sure our states have the resources and the supplies to reopen
Why start now?
states
Don't pull a hammy there, Q-tip.
and
Why don't we use him for testing? Just everybody just gets their own little Pence doll and just... I think I got it. It turned brown.
reopen America in a safe and responsible way. With that, Dr. Fauci.
Captain Buzzkill screwing it up for everyone. Look at that. Look at that thing. As of April 16th, 3,780,000 plus tests completed. They're always like to average up. Citation needed. By the way, anybody want to know how many of those people could be reinfected the next day? Because those aren't antibody tests. Anybody? Anybody want to guess? Just off the 3,749,000 approximately, because the other 31,000 are dead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice President. So as the Vice President said, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to kind of answer the question that we've been asked a lot. In fact, we had a very productive teleconference with the Senate Democratic Caucus just a few hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked a number of questions, which were really reasonable questions.
Crazy. The Democrats asking reasonable questions. Do tell. They didn't ask you if it would come up like a rocket ship?
Questions that are on the mind of a lot of different people.
You mean people who give a shit?
And one of them was the question that
By the way, the White House logo on Pence's head makes it look like he works at White Castle. I'm just saying. I would like fries with that, Mike Pence. It just worked out that way. I did not do that. I did not do that. That's their camera work. I would like to speak with your manager, please. Oh, that's just gorgeous. Can we just take that hit for a minute?
was just posed a moment ago is, are there
It's killing me.
enough
Oh,
tests
please, Pence, thank you. Move. Oh, God.
to allow us to be able
But
to go
quit.
through this first phase in a way that is
Through this first phase. This first phase, by the way, according to the two different descriptions, is either 14 days or 28 days, depending on what you're talking about. I'm sorry, I'm still crying from laughing.
protective of the health and the safety of the American people.
Yeah, this is why Trump didn't want to be here either.
So I just want to spend a couple of minutes clarifying a few things and maybe providing some information on a broad 40,000 foot, which you'll hear some of the more
Oh,
granular
you mean like flying over it, like, I don't know, Bush and Katrina? That kind of a height?
details from my colleagues who will be following me. I think they asked me to give the 40,000 foot one because I'm not a testing person. I didn't run a testing lab.
Neither did Dr. Burks.
part of a team that is looking at this, of how we can best make sure this happens in the right way. So first of all, let me say something that we've said before, and I apologize if I'm repeating things that you already know, but I think
Why do that? The president doesn't, and he says the same shit every goddamn day.
some
Yeah, smash the like, everybody. Give us a thumbs up. Support the show, patreon.com. See, I even had the graphic before the show this time. I didn't forget. And there's the tip jar thing. Fill the little tip jar thing. Even if you just follow or subscribe, it does it. So just subscribe if you're watching now, if you're a regular watcher. Go to YouTube and subscribe, or you can do the stars or whatever, or the hearts. Yeah. So super hearts? Is that what it is? Jesus Christ. Get your act together, Periscope.
it's important to do that so that people
Oh my God. I'm still like, oh, juice.
have clarity in what we're talking about.
Richard
There are
Custer.
two general types of tests, even though within each general type, there are different subgroups. One of them is to actually test for the infection.
Yeah. Don't tell us. We know. Tell this dude. He seems to be the only person in that room that is confused about this idea. Only because Trump left.
person infected. The other, and I'll
Thank you, Rebecca, for the hype.
get back to that in a second. The other is to test, as we just mentioned, if someone has been infected. Usually someone has been infected who has recovered, and as I'll get to in a moment, that you could assume, although we need to do some more work on that, that that person is actually protected against subsequent exposure and infection with an identical organism. So what are some of the pluses and minuses of each? Because the pluses and minuses are really going to impact how we best use the test and how the test actually should be used.
Again, can we bring Trump out here? He needs to hear this.
So let's take the test for whether or not you're infected. The test of whether or not you're infected is a test that right now is called a nucleic acid
Thank you, Hal Vickery, and thank you, Catherine Hildebrand. Hal Vickery, that's your tardy pass. You're completely welcome. Just no running in the halls, you know.
test. It's not an easy test to do. There are some that are more rapid. There are some that have a high throughput. There are different groups within that. The good news about that is that it's a sensitive and specific test, so that if you're infected, you know you're infected, so that, as I'll get to in a moment, if you need to do something with that, get that person, put them in care, take care of them, get them out of circulation. That's important. The part about that I think is often misunderstood is that if you get a test today,
Okay, guys. Again, Fauci and I are the only ones in this exchange who are bringing up this point, and this is news to Pence.
like I did today, it's negative. If you get a test today, that does not mean that tomorrow or the next day or the next day or the next day, as you get exposed, perhaps from someone who may not even know they're infected, that means that I'm negative, which means if you take that to its extreme, in order to be really sure, you would
You have to test everywhere you go and every single day and after every interaction?
have to test somebody either every day or every other day or every week, or what it is.
Sometimes the burden of my intellect is too much. I am simply too wise. But I'll learn to live with it over time. Somehow I will deal.
Be
Thank you,
absolutely
Kurt Gold.
certain. That's an issue.
Yeah, you know what the issue is? That it's news to Mike Pence.
Now, the problem that I talk about when I try and compare this to other situations,
I'm a swan in a duck pond. That's the sweetest thing anyone has ever said to me. I am not my thoughts.
with what testing means to you,
Especially since ducks carry avian flu.
I think most people know, have been involved in HIV/AIDS for 38 years, 39 years, from the very first week of HIV. So that's what I do. If you get a test for HIV and you are negative and you do not practice any risk behaviors, you can be guaranteed that next month, 6 months, 1 year from now, you will be negative if you don't have a risk behavior. So there's a big difference there about what testing actually.
Because in a asymptomatic, aerosolized, pandemic flu-like virus that spreads through spit and touch and coughing and sneezing and strangers and surfaces and sits on surfaces for days, everything's a risk.
Means. So the point I think you're getting is that although there is clearly a place for needing to test somebody for a given reason, a test means you're negative now. Now, the other test is an antibody test.
Right.
A test that tells you, in fact, that you've been infected. That's really good. You're going to hear a bit about that from my colleagues in a moment.
Yeah. It's the primary thing you need to reopen the government and the public, everything. Because everybody who finds out that they have the antibodies, as long as they keep their hands clean, they can interact with everybody because they're not carrying it in their spit and in their breath and everywhere else. So they can, I don't know, deliver flowers to an old folks' home as long as they wash their hands.
Because that will give you a broader view of two things. One, what the penetrance of the infection had been. And number two, you can make an assumption, though we still need to prove that. I mean, we are assuming that if you're infected and you have antibody, you're protected. And I think that's a reasonable assumption based on our experience with other viruses. But what we want to make sure that we know, and these are some of the challenges, what is the titer that is protective? How long is the protection? Is it one?
It's about 1.5 years. Just assume it's going to be the flu and that you'll need to get a version of it again. You're going to need to work on the vaccine in the interim.
Month? Is it?
But you're not going to get it within the next 4 months. And you can have rotations of sheltering if you need to work people back into the populace. Like this is, we don't need this explanation. Is Purdue coming out? I mean, I like Fauci, but you guys know we talk about this stuff, and we'll talk about it on the show tomorrow. Is this the Surgeon General coming up?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Oh, grow a mustache.
I want to make a few comments here.
I don't doubt it.
First,
I'd like to thank the presidents for their guidance and.
I want to talk a little bit about CDC has developed multiple systems to monitor disease outbreaks. I think many of you are familiar, for example, how we monitor for foodborne illness or how we monitor for antibiotic resistance in
through the FDA and through a consortium of hospital associations that keep track of it themselves so that they don't have septic hospitals. And you go, oh, that's interesting. Thanks for the call.
Hospitals. Well, we've also developed a system to monitor for upper respiratory tract disease.
Yeah, flu-like symptoms. And this is not a flu-like disease, dipshit. I'm not impressed. Like they showed this graph yesterday. Are you going to show the same shit again? Yeah.
This is an example.
We're doing ILIs again. Influenza-like illnesses. This is not an influenza-like illness because you have to have symptoms to pass the flu. Sniffles, a cough, something along those lines. You can be asymptomatic and press this. This is nothing. They just like the look of this graph.
Because when we talk about what we know about
we talk about how far your head is up your ass, it makes sense to shave off your mustache if you're going to leave the beard because it helps with the extraction later right beforehand. What is this awful thing they show? Hold on.
Testing is a part of the exquisite monitoring that needs to occur.
Oh my God, just because you have graphics. I have nice graphics. That doesn't mean I know where the testing centers are.
In partnership with CDC and state and local governments, utilizing the surveillance systems that are available, what we just talked about, the flu surveillance system, because
which doesn't work with this, but go ahead.
We no longer have flu. And the syndromic respiratory system that is across the United States. And you can see it's going back to baseline so that we'll be able to see at the community level any deviation from that baseline.
The baseline isn't how you know there are these extra cases. Half the people who get sick from this who pass it on to somebody doesn't even, oh my God.
In addition, what we talked about yesterday was adding that asymptomatic component.
Right.
Because I think you'll see as more and more articles come
that's how this frigging disease works?
Out for surveillance and monitoring that other states.
Oh no, it's falling on my head. Look out. It's okay, my hair can repel it. I gave myself a haircut this morning, a little bit of a trim. I think I did a fairly good job.
done.
It's just bouncing off. It's attacking me from both sides. Who are these disgusting people coughing all
Higher and
over me?
higher antibody in multiple individuals who don't remember having a sickness.
Oh my God, now he's wearing a tugboat on his head. I'm gonna die.
And that will give us an idea. That's our asymptomatic monitoring in these sentinel monitoring sites
Oh, stop using
now,
these
is
words.
you shed antigen in the front of your nose. And so
We need this. Do we have it? No. I'm not impressed by pictures of what those other tests look like when you're testing for malaria.
capacity from those platforms, and this gives you an idea of what that capacity is. The darkest red that you can see, like in Texas and New York, those are states that have lots of different platforms, as you saw on the prior slide.
Thank you, Susie.
And the ability, if you just add up the platforms and the potential for test of over 1 million tests per month. And so this is what we're working.
It's what you're working with, because they have the bigger states with more money have more labs. What the shit are you talking about? Of course they do. I mean, they also have more sewage systems. And you know where they find some of the connective tissue in this epidemic? Fecal oral contamination. Good luck with that. Have fun with those testing sites. What's this?
Oregon and Maine and Montana. I worked overseas way too long. Thank you all. So those are the 3 states that we're.
Look at that. All this. Look at the white states that don't have any tests at all. Under 30 tests per 1,000 are white. First of all, who makes a graph like that? It just looks like somebody's been eating the United States like a cookie. It's rotting. It's falling apart. Kind of.
And with that, Admiral Gerard.
Great.
Admiral Gerard.
And let me amplify one point as the Admiral
Great.
steps forward to concluded remarks about our approach and the efforts we put underway. Governors across the country have been working very closely with us to
No, they've been working
Very
on their own.
importantly, in very select populations where a point-of-care test is really needed. That could be in some hospitals where someone needs to know exactly if a person is positive or not to go on a clinical trial, or in a nursing home investigation, or sometimes to get people screened.
Yeah, no, there have not been 571,000 Abbott point of cares. But by the way, that's the number. The Abbott point of care ones are the little 15-minute tests that we've been talking about, where there are 6,000 units. Where I guess they're assuming they're doing 500 or to 1,000 a day on that, but we'll count minutes later on that one. But if you'll notice, the 3 million tests that they've been bragging about, that that have been dipping down over time, and this is not that graph, I'm just kind of showing you. It includes the Abbott point of care tests, which Trump was saying they weren't counting.
To go back into the work environment. Most water can be used for this. This greatly opens the ability to expand the test to support all the capability that Dr. Birx talks about. And again, by the end of April, we will have.
FDA stated labs should not reject samples regardless of swab type. So just use a regular Q-tip is what they're saying.
But
who cares if it's got proteins from something else on it, or if they can't be isolated, or they interact with some of the chemicals that you use to create false positives.
Well over 5. Think of that
God.
in the background, and
Capacity for diagnostic testing of symptomatic patients and contact tracing. Main hospitals and clinical labs, commercial labs, state pH labs, and state QA/QC, state and regional overflow labs. I learned a lot.
specifically about that. So that's monitoring. Let me talk about how much testing we need just for overall testing.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm
Let's
just gonna
stick around for this one. This will be good.
give you a number. I'm not saying that this is the number that's there, but let's just take a number that
Yeah, now how about you give a number that's actually fucking meaningful? Let me just pick a number out of the air, like, Google. That's a number. I just made it up.
we are going to enter phase 1 when there are 200,000
42. Now we need to know what the question is.
new cases per month in the United States. Don't get hung up on that. It's going to be much less than that. but let's just say 200,000 cases. So how many tests do we need? Well, we need to test those 200,000 people to make the diagnosis, right? Everybody nod your head about that. We
What?
have to do that. Now, what's a safe number over that? You know, if everybody I test has the disease, I'm not testing enough, right? But if I test 100 people to have one person with the disease, that's probably over testing. So we kind of assume that a safe number.
Why is it over testing? No. It's over testing when you have symptomatic people.
That really gives us a good idea is if about 1 out of 10 people are positive, then we know we're oversampling the population enough that we're getting all the positives. So if there's 200,000 cases, I need about 2 million tests, okay?
Right. Per month. Minimum.
Now to go to Dr. Redfield's point. Each one of those that are positive have contacts that need to be traced. And on average, the CDC tells me that for every positive, there are about 5 contacts that really need to be traced. So let's assume that those 200,000 people have 5 contacts. So now we have an extra million tests. So 2 million tests out there to detect the 200,000 cases, an extra million out there to trace those contacts. So we're up to about 3 million cases. If you want,
And that's fine if you have a symptomatic disease.
put a fudge factor,
But you don't.
say that's 4 million tests, okay? Those are generally done at the main hospital labs, the commercial labs, state and regional labs. All this can be done, as well as some of the labs talked about by Dr. Burks. Next slide. The second group of testing fits exactly perfectly with the influenza-like surveillance system that Dr. Redfield talked about. This is the monitoring. This is sort of the radar, the weather radar that it would be out there.
Yeah, you're talking about September now. We're not there yet. We don't even have enough tests right now to tell who has it currently.
Farther and further as we open up the laboratories and we're able to open all the supplies that we need for that. And I think that's where I would like to end. Thank you.
Yeah, you could have ended 5 slides ago because I enjoy a good fairy tale as much as the next person.
Of testing for
Healing our land.
states to be able to implement as
They aren't talking about the people who are as scared as hell and just want access to tests to be able to get back into the daily grind. Exactly. Well, that's the ridiculous part about this. Like, he doesn't know the difference between an antibody test and the PCR test.
they move closer and closer to that day the president speaks of often, where we reopen America and
And heal our land.
put all of America back to work.
Put all of America back to work.
President?
Oh, the president walked back in. He could smell him.
He did well. They all did well, I think. I'll bet they did.
Why'd you step out? What was the big deal? What happened, Coke Dump? What happened?
Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. Earlier today, Jay Inslee said that your tweets encouraging
Who said this?
liberation, Jay Inslee said your tweets encouraging liberation in Michigan, Minnesota, Virginia were fomenting rebellion. Wondering how that squares.
Dude, don't phrase it like that. Like, adversarial shit just sets him off. Oh, God.
With the sober and methodical guidance that you issued yesterday. in
Well, I
terms
think
of
we
real-
do have a sobering guidance, but I think some things are too tough. And if you look at some of the states you just mentioned, it's too tough, not only relative to this, but what they've done in Virginia with respect to the Second Amendment is just a horrible thing. They did a horrible thing, the governor.
Thanks, Cap the Goat.
He's a governor under a cloud to start off with. So when you see what he said about the Second Amendment, when you see what other states have done, no, I think I feel very comfortable. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President.
About what, fomenting rebellion?
Just to be clear, when you talk about these states, Michigan, Minnesota, Virginia, do you think that they should lift their stay-at-home orders, or can you talk sort
No,
of
but I
specific-
think elements of what they've done are too much. I mean, it's just too much.
Well, then say elements of what they're doing is too much. Don't say liberate Minnesota.
You know the elements because I've already said, but
What are they? No, say what they are. You watched a Fox News thing and you flipped out. You don't even remember after you tweeted what you were angry about.
certainly a Second Amendment and Second Amendment having to do with the state of Virginia, what they've done.
Yeah, you heard. We know. We see that those two things are linked in your brain. Second Amendment in Virginia.
Virginia is just incredible.
Yeah. What is it? What do they do?
Hey,
Tell us.
please.
Sir, are you concerned, though,
Can't. Has no idea. Literally talking out of his keister.
that people coming out in protest are going to spread
Thanks, Nicole.
COVID to other people? They're congregating in ways that health experts have said they should not.
No, these are people expressing their views. I see where they are and I see the way they're working. They seem to be very responsible people to me.
Do they? Do they? Did you see the picture of them smashed up against the glass like the Walking Dead, screaming at it, spitting on each other's necks? Really?
But it's,
They seem like gentle people, many of them. I mean, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of a seesaw with them because it's like a rocket,
been
but
treated a little bit rough. Please, Linda.
they've been treated a little bit rough.
Thanks, Mr. President. I'm curious about some more of the dynamics we might see as the country begins reopening, as you put it, kind of like a puzzle. So as you've mentioned,
Kind of like a puzzle. That's not what he said, but yeah. All right.
we have states where we're already seeing their curves begin to flatten, but then there are others like Florida or more rural parts of the country where they aren't projected to peak for weeks or even months. So can you talk?
Yeah, he doesn't understand multiple peaks. He thinks New York's peak is the whole country's peak. You see that? See that look on his face? That's a circuit misfire.
A little bit about some of the difficulties that those later peak
Well, I don't believe the premise of your question exists in reality, so...
states might face if they need to stay locked down for longer, even as other places around them are starting to open back up.
Well, we're seeing great numbers in almost every state. We're seeing
Are we? Tell me what's great about South Dakota's numbers.
big drops.
Tell us what's awesome about South
We're
Dakota's
really
numbers.
seeing, in terms of beds, the numbers we have to look at are the beds being occupied, people going, which is essentially people going in.
No, it's the infection rate.
It means that you have fewer people that are sick, fewer people that feel they have to go to a hospital, and those numbers are dropping really precipitously.
No, they aren't. They're going up in the red states.
So I think that we're just seeing a lot of good signs. Now, a place like New York, New Jersey, and certain parts of Louisiana. Louisiana has been incredible lately when you look at that drop. That drop has really been great.
Yeah, it's great. All those dead people.
Michigan's had a hard time, but it's starting to do well. So I just think Illinois is another one. You look at some of the numbers, but everyone is dropping, and they're dropping rather quickly.
Yeah, there's a lot of people dropping. 31,000 Americans have dropped rather
We
quickly.
don't have any hotspot that's developed where all of a sudden you say, well, other than we did have a meatpacking plant or two where
Or two.
incredibly we had some, you saw the number was rather incredible. It took
Yeah, tell us about that. What's being done to work on that?
place in that plant. People could ask about that. I wonder who owned that company.
Oh, really? It's it's just not a talented person who runs it. Clearly, that's the thing. It's 39,000. Thank you.
It was a weird situation, but generally speaking, it's been very good. The numbers have been really improving greatly. Please, in the back.
Thank you, Mr. President. U.S. intelligence is saying this week that the coronavirus likely came from a level 4 lab in Wuhan.
No, they're not.
There's also another report that the NIH, under the Obama administration in 2015, gave that lab $3.7 million in a grant. Why would the U.S. give a grant like
Because the CDC was working with bioweapons labs, bioresearch labs, not bioweapons labs. We had a person there.
that to China?
The Obama administration gave them a grant of $3.7 million. I've been hearing about that.
You just heard about it. He's never heard that before.
And we've instructed that if any grants are going to that area, we're looking at it
Very
literally
strongly.
about an hour ago.
Oh yeah, really? This just happened. That's why it's so fresh on his mind.
And also early in the morning, we will end that grant very quickly. But it was granted quite a while ago. They were granted a substantial amount of money.
Let me guess. It continued under your administration because it was normal.
We're
Thank you, Joe Carter.
going to look at it and take a look. But I
Are you going to look at it and take a look? Are you going to look at it very strongly? Are you going to?
understand it was a number of years ago, right?
Yeah.
You are
When did you
ending it.
hear? When did you hear was
He's never heard of this. He has no idea what the shit she's talking
grant
about.
was made?
2015.
2015. Who was president then? I wonder. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. President, we know negotiations are underway for the next round of funding for small businesses.
Yeah.
If tens of
Oh yeah, totally. I
Billions
just
of
heard about it
dollars.
just an hour ago. We talked about this just an hour ago.
went in a matter of days the first time, will this next relief
Oh, is the thingy for donating? Don't see a dollar sign. It's at the bottom of the chat in the YouTube stream chat. It should be right there.
package be enough?
Well, I think it will certainly, it's going to get us to a point that's going to be rather beautiful. We think that that will be the point, and it could be they'd want more, but maybe at a certain point we're going to stop. It's been a tremendous success. It's been executed flawlessly. SBA's done a very good job, but the banks have done a great job, whether it was Bank of America or Wells Fargo. The community banks have been incredible. I think we had over 4,000 community banks. A lot of people
And let me tell us how you didn't know that there were 4,000 community
didn't know
banks.
you had that many banks.
Right. Jesus Christ.
But 4,000 community banks, they gave the money out. It's so organized, and it's been such a great program. And so essentially, we're waiting for $250 billion. The Democrats are refusing to do it. This is money that essentially is going to the workers. It's going to keep these companies whole, restaurants, and a lot of great.
Yeah, it was in the bill that the Democrats pushed through and worked with Republicans on. It's a bipartisan bill. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You didn't invent it.
Companies. And it's a small amount of money relative to what it represents, because it represents
Who are you trying to convince?
small businesses. It represents them staying in business. And you know, when
Yeah, and it went to mostly companies with 498 employees instead of the ones with 10 or 5 or 15.
you look at it, people don't know. Small businesses represent
68% of the economy.
approximately 50% of
68%.
the power of our business enterprises.
Well, no, that's your estimation about the importance of them, but only because the SBA and like Chamber of Commerce's you have to talk to.
All the big monster businesses that you read about every day. It's all
You
of
mean the ones you give shout outs about from the podium?
these
Tell
small
us, tell us about small businesses like Volvo, who had 2 giant trucks parked in front of the White House yesterday.
businesses when added. It's something that should be approved by the Democrats. The Republicans want it badly, and the people want it very badly.
Oh, yeah?
Just follow up on that. Nearly 10% of the loans that were given out were for $5 million, but some small business owners say they can't even get a loan for $100,000. Is that acceptable?
Well, they would get that, but they have to approve it. Nobody knew it was going to be this successful. Don't forget, when you say that.
What success? It's not a success. That's like nobody knew these stitches were going to be so popular after this mass shooting. But they're stitches. Everybody needs them.
Money's gone. It's been a tremendous success as a program. People they really want it. And some people won't be able to keep their business open unless they get that money. It's been a tremendous success. It's been executed flawlessly. It's been, with few exceptions, it's really been good. And I think the Democrats are going to do it. Look, Nancy Pelosi, she's away on vacation or something, and she should come back. She should come back and get
She's on vacation.
this done. I don't know why she's not coming back. The fact is, she's not doing her job, and there's
Oh, she's not doing her job. That's why. They're
unusual
actually in the process of arguing this whole thing. People are sequestered at home.
They said they're now considering also adding more funding for hospitals included in
So they
this.
are thinking about hospitals, and hospitals, well, hospitals are a good thing. Hospitals have been decimated by this. They've given up their business, which is
Their business, which is what? What's their big business? Boob jobs?
good because they did the right thing in order to
They did the right thing.
take care of the COVID-19.
They stopped doing their regular business to deal with sickness and death,
And no hospital.
unlike normal hospitals.
I'm with that all the way. They want to
Yeah, Nancy is actually on television currently, according to Cap the Goat.
add hospitals. We could also add it into phase 4 if we do a phase 4. Phase 4 would be hopefully infrastructure. A lot of people are talking about the best thing we could do for this country would be the payroll tax cut.
Nobody's saying that. No one is. That's just dumb.
That
No, you're the only one. The Republicans have been pushing you. This would be a great time to shoehorn this through.
have been suggesting a lot of Democrats like it, believe it
No, they don't.
or not. The payroll
No, you're making it up.
tax cut and Art Laffer, who's tremendous.
Yeah, who created the Laffer curve, where we all watch Fair.
He's a tremendous. In fact, he recently got the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Economist. He was with
Thanks for the follow, Taxi.
Ronald Reagan, and he looks like he's
voodoo economics. Something DOO economics. The Laffer curve.
5 years old, but I think you might be a little bit older than that. He looks so great. But Art Laffer said the single best thing you can do is the payroll tax cut.
Art Laffer's an idiot.
And I would just about agree with that. And
you would just about agree with that.
I'd like to see that. I'm not sure that we're going to get that, but I think that's something that could be done. It's simple. It's really good for both the company that employs these people and for the people that are employed.
No, because it's going to kill the social safety net that they're going to rely on later, and they're not going to have any kind of retirement from the companies that they work for because you're gutting unions and trying to keep them from having that kind of protection.
So we're going to see whether that happens or not. The payroll, I put it out there, the payroll tax cut would be
a dumb idea.
Tremendous incentive.
No, it's terrible.
For this country.
It's useless, and it only works if you have a job. It's not going to help anybody who has the 20 million people who've just lost their job.
China now
I want a payroll tax cut for when I don't have a payroll.
says its coronavirus death toll in Wuhan is 50% higher, up to about 4,000. Does that sound like a credible number to you?
No, it's higher than that. It's probably 10 times.
You know, when I listen to the press every night saying we have the most, we don't have the most in the world deaths. The most in the world has to be China. It's a massive country. It's gone through a tremendous problem with this, a tremendous problem.
Uh-huh.
And they must have the most.
Yeah, but hey, she's a personal friend of yours and you trust him and you think they did a great job in January. We have the tweets.
So today I saw they announced that essentially they're doubling up on the numbers, and that's only in Wuhan. They're not talking about outside of Wuhan. So
Where's Wuhan? What province is it in? What are the other? Name 3 other big cities, and Shanghai and Beijing don't count in China, please. Where's Chongqing located? Please, Mr. She is a personal friend of mine.
it is what it is, Steve. It is what it is. What a sad state of affairs.
Investigation into whether the virus escaped from this lab in Wuhan. How active is that, and when do you
Well,
expect
we're
to hear?
looking at it. A lot of
We're looking very strongly at the things are
people are
strong.
looking at it. It seems to make sense. They talk about a certain kind of bat.
Oh yeah, Trish's bet. It's in Hebei province, and by the way, I believe you guys know. I'm talking about him. He has no idea.
But that bat wasn't in that area.
That bat wasn't in that area.
If you can believe this, that's what they're down to now is bats. But that bat is not in that area. That bat wasn't sold at that wet zone.
That wet zone? The wet zone. Have you been shopping down at the wet zone?
It's insulting.
Isn't that a strip club in Dallas? How would I know?
That bat is 40 miles away.
That bat is 40 miles. Who's ever heard of a bat flying 40 miles? What? Yeah, Chongqing has great hot pot. This is true. And apparently they allege that they have the prettiest girls in China. Although I've heard that from 3 other cities. The people of Chongqing are convinced of it.
A lot of strange things are happening. But
35 million people in Chongqing, by the way. Bigger than all of Australia.
there is a lot of
Allegedly.
investigation going on, and we're going to find
He doesn't know what he's talking about. This is gibberish.
out. All I can say is wherever it came from China, in whatever form, 184 countries now are suffering because of it. And it's too bad, isn't it? And it could have been solved very easily.
But you were golfing, and apparently you guys told the Israelis about it in November.
When it was just starting, it could have been solved really very easily. Yeah, please, Liberate.
Thank you, sir.
But he's a personal friend.
So, about the 80 and...
He's like, got through that one. Woo! If I had managed to get words out in the right order, I think. What'd I say?
payments that have gone out.
Yeah.
You said that less than 1% have had snafus, but that could be 800,000 snafus. So we've also seen reports.
Well, I'm just saying it's less than 1%, and the snafus are very minor.
You're not talking about
No,
massive
excuse me.
numbers of dead people who've received.
No, they were 80 million payments went out over a period of a few days.
Yeah, and one of them was $55 million to a company to buy PPE that's never made it, teaches tactical stuff to the U.S. Army according to their website, but has had no employees since 2018. $55 million. $55 million to a company with no employees for gloves and masks and PPE gowns that we never got. I'm going to go with CIA snuff fund. That's what I'm going.
And they caught certain mistakes that they made, but
did they?
This is a tiny amount of mistakes. I can tell you mistakes that were made in government where wrong countries
Yeah, like you getting elected.
were signed, okay? 80 million.
Wrong countries were signed. Please show us the original drafts of the stuff you've signed at your desk.
This has been a tremendous success. And any mistake that was made, they've been...
Hi, 1525 scooter. 1524 scooter. Sorry, I added a 1. My bad.
And it's less than 1%. That's a very good percentage. I can tell you for government. I mean, how about the Obama website, the Obamacare website, where they spent $5 billion on building a website that you could have built for peanuts? Okay.
No, you couldn't have. And it worked. It works now when you let it.
Money went up to
For peanuts, he says. Where's that Google website?
these people.
Where's that Google website that's going to track all the sick people? Where's that?
Is the government going to get that back?
Yeah, anything that was sent out, it's like sometimes you send a check to somebody wrong. Sometimes people are listed, they die, and they get a check. That can happen. You're talking about...
What? How do they get a check when they're dead by accident because you signed the wrong thing? What?
I guess the number is about...
Yes, this is a rerun.
80 million people. Yeah, sure, we'll get that back. Everything we're going to get back. But it's a tiny amount. They've done a fantastic job. This was done in a matter of a few days. Yeah.
Your campaign said today that they are planning on resuming rallies before the election. Is there a timeline that you're looking at? Would it be
Yeah, how about next week?
restricted to certain states? Have you thought about how that would work?
Well, I hope we can do rallies. It's great for the country. It's great spirit. It's great for a lot of things. It's to me, it's a tremendous way of getting the word out.
Uh-huh. The word. You mean propaganda?
If you look at our success rate, we've had tremendous success. We win where we have rallies, including endorsements of...
No, you don't. No, there's no indication that rallies actually seal the deal.
Candidates.
You've lost a bunch, actually.
Our success rate.
Giant rallies, loser candidates. It's almost as if everybody who supports you comes to that rally, and anybody who isn't there isn't a supporter.
I think unparalleled. There's nothing like it. So
No, there's a lot of parallels to it. There are a lot of bands, for example, that have enormous gatherings about the same size, and it's interesting because they sell tickets. Your rallies are free.
certainly hope we can have rallies. We'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the rallies where we're sitting like you're sitting. I mean, you got many reporters outside trying to get into this room, and I come in, I'm looking at this room, and I see all this. It loses a lot of flavor.
It loses a lot of flavor. It's not flavor, it's either true or it isn't.
This is, to me, a lot of flavor, but I hope we're going to have rallies. I think they're going to be bigger than ever. I will say.
Yeah, the Wisconsin loss was pretty. Was a big one. Thanks for mentioning that one, Connie.
The rallies that we were having until we had to stop with regard to the problem that we had here.
What was the problem?
Rallies were bigger than they were. I think even substantially bigger.
Thank you, Scooter. I appreciate that. I try. We'll be I'm going to be here as long as he does these stupid things, and then after that, considering my live stand-up has been scuttled for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be a regular streamer. You're going to be seeing a bunch more of me. If you like that, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the show, hit the notification bell, join me over if you're at Periscope or any of the other things. You can either super chat at YouTube or support me via Patreon if you'd rather watch in the other areas. That's totally fine. And hi, my personal Facebook page, people. Hello.
Go into the biggest arena and would turn away 20, 30,000 people sometimes.
To a free gathering of nutcases.
In one case, I think they said in New Jersey we had 175,000 people show up for an arena that holds 9,000 people. Showed up.
Where's the helicopter footage of that? It's weird. Wait a minute. Is that what the rally footage was? Thank you, Slick
The
Chick.
reporters even reported that. That was almost.
They didn't even report it. You know, you would have. I mean, you would have thought someone would have seen it out a window, but no.
Joking to me. But I hope we can resume rallies because I think they're an important part of politics, actually.
No, they're not.
Mr. President, under your reopening plan, some workers can go back to work in phase 1, but schools cannot reopen until phase 2. Many parents don't have an option to work from home. So how can you get businesses back up and running
without tests
as schools are closed?
Well, I think the businesses are going to, and I think now we've given the businesses.
Thank you, Liberty B.
A real jolt, a real positive jolt. They're able to keep their employees. You know, without the employees, if the employees leave that area, if they leave, you know, who knows where they're going, or if they get another job maybe someplace else, you're not going to have the same business. So we gave them money to hold their employees. They're going to do that. We hope we can do $250 billion more. It's absolutely so inexpensive compared to what it represents. And we hope that's going to happen. But I think, I really think, look, you see it with the stock market. The market was up 700 or 800 points today, and
yeah, because they like unemployment and they're moving their money around. They're pulling it out of the businesses that won't do well during this period and putting it into the companies that are going to be necessary: pharmaceuticals, grocery stores, sodas, Netflix.
Would have told me that we would have.
Oh my God, we're going glory days again.
A virus.
You're going to have to shut it down.
The likes of which
no one has ever seen before. No one could imagine.
The world has not seen.
Never seen since for 100 years, since 1917, 18.
Since 1917.
Right, or 18.
Which was the Spanish flu.
Oh, is it now? Okay, good.
Where anywhere from 75 to 100 million people were killed, and that we'd have a stock market that's not far below its all-time high.
Jesus Christ. What a ghoul.
And it's starting to get a little low. You know, then you had a 1,000-point increase and a 1,200-point increase. So now we have a stock market.
It's vacillating all over the place. Thanks, Flirty Lee.
That's at a point where it's not very far away from where it was, and we've gone through literally a closed country. Remember this also. I mean, we have had a closed economy.
Yeah, we know. We are the economy.
The best economy anywhere in the world. By far, we're the best economy we've ever had.
Oh, God.
And remember this, the dollar is very strong. And
sometimes you don't want a strong dollar, but now we have it because everybody wants our dollar now. Like the Russians and the Saudis.
Strong dollars are overall very good. But it does cause problems. It's harder to sell outside of the country, et cetera, et cetera. It's a little harder for men.
Explain it. Bring up Laffer. He can tell you about it.
Actually, sometimes it's a lot harder. Everybody wants to invest in our country. Everybody wants, and you know, we're paying almost zero in interest, like in some cases, zero. We've never had that before.
Yeah, it's not a good thing. We're in trouble. This is amazing. Like, it's amazing. Nobody in the family is yelling at anybody because we're all in a sinking car in quicksand. It's so good, you know? We've never had a more peaceful family. No one's fighting amongst themselves. They're all just clawing at the windows.
People want the safety of our country. But if you
Thanks, Albert.
would have told me that a market was where it is today, and today we had almost, I guess, more than a 700-point increase, and we're at a point which is, you know, it's not.
Yeah, it's almost going up a point for every dead person in the state of New York.
What it was, but it's not that far off. I would have told you that's got to be in a.
The stock market currently is operating under the belief that the only people that will be killed by this en masse are people who are a drag on the economy, are not productive workers, and that he's going to turn things loose and it's going to stay that way.
But the reason that is because there is a great pent-up demand. This country's going to come back, and it's going to come back strong. We have to get rid of the virus. We've got to open up our country. We're going to open it up in quadrants. We're going to open it up as states. Some of the states should get together and they should work on their own.
They are. I love how this is that. I got a great idea. How about New York and Connecticut and New Jersey and Vermont all get together, and maybe if they worked it out, and then I could go back to golfing.
Borders and everything, because you don't want to have people pouring through the border of a state.
Yeah, really? So you're going to let them enforce that legally?
Isn't infected and you have people coming perhaps outside. That's one of the reasons I was asking Tony 2 days ago about masks. Well, why in Wyoming or Montana would they have to
Why do they need masks?
wear masks? The numbers.
Oh my God, please, listen to this. Listen to this. He's going to say, why would they need masks in Wyoming if the disease is in New York? And
Very good. And the reason if somebody comes from outside, which is very severe, but
it's very severe when someone comes from outside. What?
again, and it's going to be up to them. It's a recommendation, but we'll see. But if you would have told me how well we're doing after we went through the worst event of its kind since 1917, it's pretty amazing. Question,
Mr.
please.
President, about childcare, though, millions of Americans aren't sure how they can go back to work if schools are closed. How can they have their kids taken care of?
Schools are going to be open. They're going to be open. You just have to know that they're going to be open. They'll be open somewhere around June 6th.
Considering something in addition to helping employees.
We're going to get the schools open as fast as we can. Sometime between now and September. Probably closer to September.
Stay employed to help them take care of.
No, we don't punch anybody in the mouth.
That's a good question.
No calls for violence in my chat, please. Thank you very much.
I think the schools
Even joking, we'll get in trouble, and I don't need that kind of hassle.
are going to be open
Love you.
soon. I think a lot of governors are already talking about schools being opened. And we do have to take care of our seniors because we've learned a lot about this disease. We've learned, call it a disease. We've learned a lot about this
Call
plague.
it a disease. Really, I would have called it something else. But, I don't know. Sugar baby.
And we have to take care of our seniors. We're going to take care of a lot of people. But I think the schools are going to be open sooner rather than later. And I understand, and I've spoken, some governors are already thinking about getting the schools open. I have a young boy who goes to school. I'd like to see him go to school. As good as home is, it's very nice, but we'd like to see him go to school, please.
Thank you, Mr. What? As good as home is, I'd like to see him go to school. Like they're just locations?
And I agree with that point. I would like to know about some of these areas that you would like to open up, some of these quadrants. You singled out Virginia, Michigan. They don't have a decline in cases yet. Yet you tweeted out today that you'd like to liberate them.
Well, they're going to have soon, but they're very,
Explain, what is it? Very, very what?
They've done is very powerful in terms of, I think, you can.
So powerful is bad now. That's what are we doing that now? Is that how we're doing this? Powerful is bad now?
Get the same result out of doing a little bit less. What they've done to some people is very unfair. In Virginia, I'm going above and beyond what we're talking about with this horrible plague. They want to take their guns away.
No, they don't want to take their guns away. That's not what they're doing.
Okay? They want to take their guns away. That's the Second Amendment. That's Virginia.
They're not trying to, no. Second Amendment's a federal ruling. They have the ability to limit certain elements and certain firearms in certain situations.
Yeah. You have a governor who really...
Explain what he wants to do. Tell us all about what you think he wants to do.
I guess he should be under siege. He seems not to be. If he were...
He should be under siege.
Republican, he'd be under siege.
Siege?
But he seems to have escaped something that was pretty bad, including what he said about birth, including what he said about many different things. But he wants to take, if you take a look at what's going on in Virginia, they want to...
Yeah, take a look at it. Tell us what, big boy. I'm waiting for it. Come on. You can do it. Tell us what actually is happening.
Take away Second Amendment rights, and that's what they...
You can't, no, Second Amendment's in the Constitution, it's a federal Constitution, the part that, the part of the government that you work in, they don't have the ability to do that. They can put reasonable limits on it, can't have a tank.
Want to do. So when you talk about liberate, or if you talk about liberation, you could certainly look at Virginia as one. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, so you want them to, what do you think they should do, storm the State House with guns? Who should they shoot first, cops or soldiers? National Guard people? Maybe they should just go straight to the testing sites in Virginia and start shooting those people? Is that what you're saying? What the hell?
Anybody else?
Mr. President.
Which states are ready to reopen?
To quote the first 5 minutes of Real Genius, used to be a good man. Looks like we're going to have to liberate George. Liberate? You mean liquidate? All right, Jim, let's take a look at that film on blinding techniques, and then we'll all get some lunch.
Mine, and how so?
Well, I don't want to go. I want to leave the governors make that decision. We're watching very closely. If we see
Thanks, Subcut.
something happening bad that we think is wrong, we're going to come down very strong on that. Very, very strong.
I don't have a laugh track, but will this work? Hold on, watch. See if this works.
The federal government has a lot to say. We have a lot to say beyond what anyone understands. And we think, and I've gotten to know many of the governors, many Democrats too. It's Republicans, and I knew the Republicans. I knew some of the Democrats, but I got to know a lot of them. I think it's going to be in the hands of a lot of good people. I think a lot of good people are looking at this, and they want to do what's right, Steve.
The Vice President is traveling soon, I think tomorrow to Colorado. When are you
That
guys
scared my cats. Sorry, it was a little loud. I apologize.
be in a position to travel again?
Well, they'd rather not have me travel. I think I've been in the White House, I don't know, for months.
For months, I don't know. You know exactly how long.
What it is, but it's for months. Other than I did leave to say goodbye to our beautiful ship, right? The Comfort, as it left Virginia, where it got out of dry dock, it got out of maintenance very early. It was supposed to be there for 4 weeks. It was there for a few days. Literally, we got it up to New York. I mean, they didn't need it like. Well, I wouldn't say we hoped. I'm glad they didn't need it. They didn't need it. That was a good thing. They didn't need the convention center. 2,500
Parts can be more subtle.
beds.
Sorry, I gotta bring the volume down on the browser. All right, I'll work on that for next time. All right.
Depending on your definition, 2,900. We ultimately converted it to COVID. The Army Corps of Engineers and FEMA, the job they did was incredible. But that's a sign that they're making progress in New York. If you look at that, we built it. It was ready. It's there now. It's ready. We converted it to COVID. It wasn't supposed to be for that, at the request of, frankly, our side. Then ultimately we converted it, but there is much less demand. That's such a good thing. I mean, I'm not complaining about that. I think it's a great.
Sorry. So wrong. I apologize.
Means New York's making progress.
I'm glad we didn't need the boat. It was just too late to make a difference for what they were doing. They just managed. We'll handle it ourselves.
Is it important to you that Vice President is going tomorrow?
Why does he say the same thing 500 fucking times? Because it's propaganda. That's why.
He's going to Colorado? I think he's going to the Air Force to make the commencement, right? Yes, oh, I think it's...
Oh, great. Yeah, so we're going to go to the Air Force.
Right.
I'm not sorry. You're right.
I think it's great. If he's going to make the commencement, I hear they're going to have a very spread out crowd.
Yes, sir.
They're going to be...
Murph, what are you doing? Murph, psst, what are you doing? What are you doing? Cat got in here.
I will say they are going to be socially very good. They're going to be very far apart.
Yeah, are they?
It'll be very interesting. I think I'm going to watch that one. No, they're going to be...
No, I think I'm going to watch that one. You think?
They're going to have a good spread, a good distance apart. I spoke to Mike about it. No, I think making the commencement speech, I'm doing it at West Point, which I look forward to. I did it last year at Air Force. I did it at Annapolis. I did it at the Coast Guard Academy.
We're still talking about speeches, right?
And I'm doing it at West Point, and I assume they've got it, and I understand they'll have distancing. They'll have some big distances, so it'll be very
Sorry. I just can't take it. Like, after a while, it just is ridiculous.
different than it ever looked. Do I like the look? No, I don't. And eventually, next year, they'll have a commencement which will be like it's been, like when people like this, our great admiral, has done such a great job, when he graduated from where he graduated.
This is ridiculous.
Me too. We're nice and tight. And that's going to happen again. I don't want people to think that this is going to be like this forever, but for a period of time, we're going to have to keep it that way. That includes baseball games and football games and other things. But eventually, as this virus goes away, it's going to be better and better. Director, it's going to be better and better, and we're going to get our lives back to the way they were. You know, one thing that bothers me, a couple of restaurateurs called, and they said, I mean, sir, I barely made a living with 150
This is just terrible.
seats. Now, if I do what they want me to do, I'll be down to 25 seats. And I can't. I said, yeah, but you're not going to be there forever. And he didn't really know that. He thought that they were going to take 150 seats, move it down to 25 to 50
I do need a soundboard. I need something like Steph has. I'll work on that for the next one. That's the...
seats, depending on the way he laid it out. He said, don't worry about it. Eventually, you're going to be back to the scene that you used to have, which was look, I could tell you about, and I'm not going to do it because I didn't want to bring it up, but I could tell you.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Sorry, this is my own 25th Amendment.
About events that took place, and I said things like, you'll never do that again, or you'll never do this again, or I don't even want to mention the events, I don't want to mention what you're supposed to be doing. Because, and you know, one of them was so horrible. I said a certain industry will be out of business, never happen again. 2 weeks later, it was like nothing ever happened. Hopefully, we get rid of this. We have tremendous talent up here and all over, including governors, including local governments, state governments. I look forward to the time, to me, when we can really normalize. But normalizing is being back to where we were.
I got that one right on the finger, all right, on the point. I was very proud of that one.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, some of your allies
I should do that for each of the points, just every time.
are calling for China to be stripped as host of the 2022 Olympics. Wondering what you make of that. Is that something
This dude wants to fight with China, something fierce.
that you would consider, or?
So I just made a deal with China. We're going to put in $250
That one made Mike Pence step back.
billion of product. They're going to be buying 50 from 40 to 50 billion in farm. I want to see what's happening with China. I want to see how they're doing on it. Are they fulfilling the deal, the transaction? We have a lot of discussions going on with China. Let me just put it this way. I'm not happy, okay? I'm not happy. And I spoke to them, and this could have been shut down a long time ago. They knew it, and we couldn't get in, and in all fairness, World Health couldn't get in, and that's why I wish they took a different stance. They took a very
Sorry, it's too much. I apologize. I'm going to the well one too many times. I apologize.
pathetic stance and a very weak stance. But they say they couldn't get in. But ultimately, they got in. They got in much sooner than anybody, but they didn't report what was happening. They didn't report what was happening inside of China. No, I'm not happy with China. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, I wanted to ask Dr. Fauci, could you address these suggestions or concerns that?
Oh God, it's just gonna go. Can we skip ahead? Stop trying to get Fauci fired, assholes. Oh, we're almost to the end. Does he even let Fauci answer? I don't think he does.
Virus was somehow man-made, possibly came out of a laboratory.
He wouldn't possibly know. That's not his business. He's not in intelligence.
In China.
All he knows is that there's bat DNA in it. That's how they know how it came from animal to human.
You studied this virus. What are the prospects of that?
There was a study recently that we can make available to you where a group of highly qualified evolutionary virologists looked at the sequences there and the sequences in
And what is Trump doing in the background?
bats as they evolve and the mutations that it took to get to the point where it
He's gonna melt that screen.
is now is totally consistent with a jump of a species from an animal to a human.
Right.
So, I mean,
It's normal. Right.
the paper will be available. I don't
It's online. Look it up yourself. It's not his fault.
have the authors right now,
Thank you, Kurt.
but we can make that available too.
Follow-up, sir, on the
And thank you guys for all the super chats today. We're getting near the end. I appreciate it. You guys have been really sweet today. I appreciate it. And thanks. I think we got an extra Patreon supporter in there too, and I missed it earlier. I'm gonna have to roll back and look. But yeah.
protests that we've seen of people wanting the economies to open. Does that concern you, though, as a health expert, when you see folks congregate, and are you worried if that's encouraged?
Well, I mean,
Thank you, Joyce.
I'm looking at it from a
Thanks.
public health standpoint. I certainly could understand the frustration of
Yeah.
people, but my main role in the task force is to make recommendations to protect the health and the safety of the American people. And I
And thank you again, Slick Chick, by the way.
hope that people understand that that's the reason why we're doing what we're doing, and hopefully we'll put an end to this.
Thank you.
Yeah, get away from him. Please leave. Oh, here we go.
I'll say this, I'm very, very satisfied with the decision we made, listening to experts, listening to my gut, the feeling of the vice president and really many others when we
My gut. I'm sorry.
put it all together. I'm very look.
Thank you, Joe Carter. I appreciate that. And thank you for the PayPal. I saw that.
If we didn't do what we did at the time, we could have lost more than 2 million people.
No. If we did absolutely nothing, there's not a single country in the world that thinks that is a viable option.
I believe that. I could show you charts of other places that gave it a shot and they're not doing well. And I would show it to you right now. I don't want to embarrass anybody, but they gave that a shot. It's an automatic. I mean, everybody would say, let's do that, until they sit down and start thinking. And we could have lost more than 2 million people.
If we did absolutely nothing, not an option. Why is this?
Could have lost more than 2 million. Could have been much more than that, by the way. We have one that says from 1.6 to 2.2.
And it would have been like, if, literally, okay, so the chart, listen to me on this, guys. The chart that he's talking about, the projection he's talking about, if we did absolutely nothing, zero mitigation, thank you, Dale, zero mitigation at all, we would have had 1.2 to 2.4 million dead. When he says it's more than that, the only way you get to that point is if he just decided, on top of not doing anything, they just started purging people by, like, just, I could have sent people out into the streets. We could have had everybody die from the disease, and I could have shot someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue. So
it could have really been more than that. But I looked at one in particular, one country in particular, that is using the herd mentality.
Sweden. Yeah, and they stopped.
Not working out very well. Now, with all of that being said, we have to get back to work.
Yeah. By the way, the herd mentality, like, which he means the herd immunity system, is what he's talking about. By the way, nice Coke nostril on the right there. That is blasting today. Why are farts sounds funny? Because they are both a warning, and it's like slipping and falling down a flight of stairs, but no one gets hurt. It could shart, but that's there's a lot of reasons. I could teach a class. That'll be my master class. I'm gonna do. That's a great idea. I should do a master class on why farts are funny and just put it online. That's what's happening. And you've given me Hal Vickery. Thank you very much. That's our first Patreon video that is official. Yeah, remember, farts are not funny to deaf people. They're just mean. Flatulence theater. That's right. Like, look at the rights, this side, let's see, if I'm facing this way, this side of his nostril, that whole bump right there, there's a whole dissection of that Coke bump online.
We'll be crossing lines very soon in many cases. In some cases, we're well.
Sometimes I'm crossing lines with Mike Pence every day.
Way down. In other cases, we're right at the top and heading down. We're heading in the right direction. I saw some numbers from New Jersey, which was having a very tough time at starting. He's doing a terrific job, the governor, Phil Murphy, starting to get some really good signs. I looked at some of the New York numbers. They're starting to get, they've been devastated, obviously, but some really good things are starting to happen. So if we would have done something different, first of all, would not have been sustainable. You would have had people, they would have been furious at you and me and everybody up here. It would not have been sustainable. Because you look at some of the hospitals, as an example, a certain hospital right near where I grew up in Queens.
Oh, is it? We're going to talk shit about a hospital that was overwhelmed in a poor neighborhood because they're not talented?
And you had body bags all over the floor of that hospital. You know the one I'm talking about.
Yeah, and because they were overwhelmed by a pandemic, you dick.
All over the floor of the hospital. Now multiply that times 12 or 15, because that's the kind of numbers you're talking about, 12 or 15.
Right, and that's why they were asking for 40,000 ventilators before full mitigation was possible. They were not, in their projection, it didn't look like the people of New York would mitigate. By the way, what ended up happening was all the people that did mitigate all sprawled over, thanks Adam Washer, all sprawled over to New Jersey.
And it would not have been it would not have been there would have been an insurrection. Nobody would have understood that. Whereas right now, nobody can be blamed, and there is no blame. We're all in a situation that was caused that should have been solved long ago. It could have been solved probably very easily. Look, there's a
Oh yeah, probably very easily. If you're not, then why is it not being solved easily now? If it's that tuition for Bart University, thanks, Hal Vickery, I appreciate it. This is amazing though. Like, he was just shitting on a hospital that was overwhelmed with dead bodies. So if you think that I'm being disrespectful with his, by the way, all I'm adding is sound, because this is what he does the entire time he's up there. Like, ridiculous.
tough enemy, but probably very easily if a certain country did what they should have done. And we're just starting to learn those facts. But what we did was the right thing. What we did was the right thing. With that being said, we want to get back, and we're going to be opening up states. They're being opened by very capable people. It's also point of sale, as they say in a different business. It's the point they'll be able to look at that, where the testing is taking place. We're going to help them with the testing. We've developed
That one wasn't good. That was terrible. That was not. I have not checked out all these fart effects, so some of them will not be winners.
tremendous tests over the last little while, and we're going to work with the states, so we're going to help them. But they know every inch of land in
That one was straight Ren and Stimpy.
their states. I watched the governor of Arkansas, Asa. You saw that. I thought he was terrific. I watched the governor of Oklahoma over the weekend being
Really? You just watching governors?
interviewed. He was terrific. They've done it a little bit differently, and they've done it tight, and they've done it strong, and they were very prepared, and they have more beds than they needed, and that's a good thing. But I've seen some very, very
sorry.
good things, and I think you're going to have some very positive events taking place over.
After this stream, I'm gonna have to sort fart sounds into the kind and label them so I know what I'm getting, and they're all gonna have. I'm gonna have to list the names online so you guys know what's up, and have you guys call them out. #Wendy, #WendyToot.
Very short period of time, and I think with that we'll see you tomorrow. But really, this has been
Thank you, Catherine.
A situation where a lot of great people have been involved and a lot of great decisions have been made. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
So there will be a briefing.
Can we follow up with a couple questions?
I think I got it on every step. All right, that was enough for me. Holy smokes, you guys are wonderful. We got through it. Just pitiful. Please go eat something, preferably some beans. Yes, and always listen to Can't Stop Lying. Reach out after the show today. Just send a text to somebody you haven't talked to in a while. Check in on and go, hey man, I've been thinking about your. Hey girl, I've been thinking about you. How you doing? You okay? Do you need anything that I can give you without coming in physical contact with you? And in all honesty, like, Hal, enough with the farts already. We're done. And by the way, I managed to hit every footstep. That was good. Don't lose your compression. My dad used to say that. My dad says, whoops, lost my pressure. That's what he says when he farts. And my mom blames rats. If my mom farts, she goes, rats. We've got rats. There's rats. Which I love. It's one of my favorite ones. My buddy Rob McClure, I know a bunch of Robs. My buddy Rob McClure, he's my favorite one. You can try this at home. He will ask for you to pick something up when you're sitting down. And as soon as you sit up to reach for it, he farts and blames it on you. It's so good. And like after a while, if you know him well enough, he will do it on the simplest thing. So it doesn't even take a lot of active stuff. I googled your name and found out you're a famous actor. It's true. I have other talents as well. I appreciate that, Noel. I want to make Ireland proud. I'm really good at it. I'm a solid actor. But yeah, but literally Rob would he'd go, can you grab me that magazine? And literally as soon as you touch it, he'll fart. It's just, and the timing is amazing. So beautiful. Yeah, I've been in stuff. I have a whole IMDb of stuff I've been in. And I'm going to be in a lot more. My career goal is to be Mickey in the 10th reboot of Rocky when I'm really old. Literally, my goal in life as an actor is to be like Burgess Meredith, Alan Arkin, that age, because Hal's an old man's name. So I got a long way to go before I'm going to do that, and obviously I'm not aging at the same clip that other people are. So it might take a little longer, but that's my goal. Once this quarantine is over, I'm coming to see one of your shows, Hal Sparks. Please do. Please do. Yeah, when Creed is coaching, that's exactly right. They're going to have to dust me off. President Sparks, First Lady Summer. I'm for it. 2032. Well, I don't think she'd want to be First Lady by itself. That wouldn't be enough work for her. I'd have to put her in charge of NASA. She would literally be in charge of running the moon base after this. Where's the one where you light the farts? That's right. That's next level. You can be James Garner. Yeah. Now, I've heard that, and that's I will take that. You know, I have the same doctor as James Garner. I actually have the same doctor as Rockford, because in real life, James Garner's doctor was this guy, Dr. Bosca, in Santa Monica, in Brentwood. And he references him on the Rockford Files. He's a real person. And he would go, yeah, doctor, did you talk to Dr. Bosca about it? Like, they would literally reference this genuine doctor on the Rockford Files that was James Garner's real doctor. And I went to get my flight certification FAA health check from him because he does all the pilots in Los Angeles. And they warned me about this guy. They were like, you know, you got to go see Dr. Bosca. He's the guy who's going to give you your certificate. But just know that he's going to start rambling on about, you know, old Hollywood, and he just talks and talks and talks. And when I showed up at the place, they didn't say that he was James Garner's doctor. But when I rolled up, he had all these pictures of old Hollywood, like from the 70s, all around him. And he had this huge picture of him on the set of the Rockford Files. And yes, James Garner was Maverick, indeed. You had a big crust on James Garner? Ew. I hate autofill. It's just a dick sometimes. But it was amazing. And I went in there and I was like, hold on. You were James Garner's doctor. And all the things that all the other pilots hated about him is my favorite thing. I've only been to see him twice because I don't get sick. But he was awesome. And I'm like, I don't really even need anything. Let's just talk Rockford. Yeah. So anyways, James Garner was hot when he was young. Well, I will take that as a compliment that some people think I look like James Garner. I'm totally fine with that. I didn't realize how much my dog farts until I stay home. Yeah, you realize what a great pet he is because he did it when you weren't home. He was saving it up. By the way, that's how you know he needs to walk. By the way, he's got one on deck. Yeah, and by the way, the thing at the sweet Serena, the thing on, if you watch the Rockford Files, which I highly recommend, it's on I think it's on Amazon Prime for free. It might even be on Hulu. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. You guys can look it up. You'll find it. But at the opening, it was a big deal when the Rockford Files came out to have an answering machine. Answering machines were relatively new technology. People did not have them. That was like, holy shit, you have an answering machine? What is this? And so it was such a cool thing. It was such an extra part. I mean, he lived in a trailer by the beach. He was literally like, in a van down by the river, right? But he had an answering machine, and it would start every show with, this is Jim Rockford. At the tone, leave your name and message, and I'll get back to you. And they would play a message from somebody, and it was different every episode. It's what they did with the Simpsons, where he's writing something different on the board. That was, they basically cribbed that from the Rockford Files. And it was just, and, yeah, one on deck. And the funniest one was, hey, Jim, it's Tom, your accountant. You were right. Your IRS refund check bounced. And they would time the theme song of the show like it was a rim shot. Yeah, thank you. Love the ones from Angel or his dad. Absolutely. Angel was an interesting character because they phased him out. He was his ex-con friend that would always get him into trouble, and it was just too much after a while. And they rolled him. They brought him back season 2 for less stuff, but they were really laying on that heavy the first season. And then they decided to shift to his dad. Somebody else plays his dad in the pilot, by the way. They just changed dads. But he was always, anyways, I just loved it. I went enough to like his dad's truck. Yeah. I mentioned my hometown. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and I can't watch The Notebook, not just because it's a sad movie, but because James Garner's really old in it, and I just loved him so much. I look like a young Robin Williams. Oh, thanks, Noel. I appreciate that. That's one of my goals. We need somebody to fill that gap, and I think I'm just crazy enough to do it. Yeah, could be good. Jonathan Winters, Robin, me. Somebody's got to pick up that thing. Somebody's got to be the nutcase. I can do that. I can pull that off. Let's do it. And then surprise. Yes, Shazbot. Oh, no. Oh, well, oh. Drink with me. Mr. Happy. Oh. Yeah, like Bewitched, they absolutely switched. All right, I'm letting you guys go. We're late. They were nice enough to stop by 6 o'clock. I don't want to drag you guys on too much, and I've got fart sounds to go sort through. So take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. We managed to get through it once I got rolling without any major hiccups. Thanks for letting me know about the microphone. I will fix that issue, by the way. I must have gotten a mail or something. That was funny. Absolutely can't stop lying. I will pass it along. Take care. Enjoy, guys, and I will see you guys either later gaming or tomorrow for this. Cheers. Rest well. Thanks, Noel. Be well. Thanks, Carl, and I'm glad you made it, and I'm glad you're still working. That's cool. It's nice to, in this situation. Thanks so much. I'm going to work on the sound effects thing. The reason I got to the fart sound thing was because somebody asked for a laugh track, and I've got to find one of those, and then I'm going to have to sort those out. So I can create a sound thing in Stream Deck. We'll figure it out. But night, Rob. Thanks so much, brother. Okay, I will talk to you guys later. Rest well, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye. Did that work? Did it go? There it goes.